On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt will be joined by the Firestarter, Jared Middleton, who will be co-piloting the show due to young Nick's latest adventure taking him away from Star Wars time. They'll take a deep dive into the latest episode of The Bad Batch, which featured many similarities to a canceled episode of The Clone Wars, and a furry Jedi. The dudes will also look forward to this week's double episode drop, which means fans are in for something big. After BB Time, they'll discuss the change to Mando's musical scoring for Season 3, as well as the latest round of Celebration celebrity guests, which include a former SWTS interviewee. Of course, the show will end with the Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie!
Hey now, everybody, it's time to rock your face off. Hey, we got to get up, right? Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that what I desire, and that is none other than my man, the first ever guest host on the Star Wars Time Show, Jared Middleton, a.k.a. Sir.Dork on Instagram. That's right, he is here, my friends, filling in for young Nick, who is out, as we like to say, gallivanting around the galaxy, taking a break from his stressful life as a young man.
I mean, so. I'm very happy to be here. It's been a long time. Last time we tried this, I was trying to record on my phone. I didn't know what I was doing, and I lost my audio.
Well, yeah,
completely.
Man, that was pre-live stream days. I mean, like I said, Jared, I believe you were our first guest host and our first interview. And, you know, I like to sit here and talk about things that no one else cares about. But I still am going to contend we're the first account to get into the whole toy photography interviews and showcase type of shit, which has now become a thing. And, you know, lots of other people go watch other channels. But it started here, okay, with this young, talented pyro. And he's not wrong. Yeah, it was a day we would get together whenever because we didn't live stream and we'd record the podcast to put out. And you know, I'm like, hey Jared, I need you to record your audio. And he's like, yeah, I got it. So he and I essentially have a whole show together, like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And 20 minutes after, he's like, dude, none of my audio recorded.
Yeah.
So the whole show had to be scrapped. But I didn't
back then I had a laptop that was 15 years old, so I was let me download an app to record. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah,
so
and it was really when you were first. I think you went viral. What 18 into 19 because of Facebook, or was it 17 into 18?
18 to 19.
Okay, yeah. You went viral because of a Facebook post. And, you know, I was in the toy photography thing. Nick and I just started this, porting it away from the old website, getting it into its own thing. It worked out. But I'm a huge fan of Jared. If you've never seen his work, that means you've never watched his show. So shame on you. But B, go check him out on Instagram, YouTube. If you're into toy photography, really any sort of action photography, still photography, the dude knows what's up. And he provides plenty of free tips, tutorials over on the Sir.Dork YouTube channel, and now the Sir.Dork Instagram. So
yes,
happy to have him here.
I'm a fan of the Sir.Dork. Wow, hang on. Let me just. I'm a fan of the Star Wars Time Show. And
well, you better be a fan of yourself. It's okay to have some cockiness and confidence. We are fans of you too.
Well, yes, but no, I've been a fan of Star Wars Time before. I think you were a fan of Sir Dork. So this is a hardcore fandom for me right here. So I'm excited. When you asked me, I was like, yes, finally again, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I have been bringing on 1/6 Shooter to co-host because he's another person that pops up on streams. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to carry a conversation.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? It's time to bring in some young blood. Let's bring in the dork. And there's another reason why. I mean, if you remember a few episodes back, we were spitballing the Star Wars D&D, and we were talking about, who may join us and who may make out the player base for our Dungeon Master, Nick, to guide us through his own custom crafted Star Wars narrative. And Jared is one of the few big accounts that agreed to do it. So thanks to Jared.
Yeah. I mean, how can I say no? I don't know anything about.
Me neither. And I think I think it's going to be such a train wreck. It's going to be a blast. And honestly, to me, Jared, the reason I'm committing to do this, I just want to see Nick do his thing. Like let's be real. He's not here. We all know Nick. He's calm, reserved. I never even knew he was a dungeon master. I didn't know he had it in him. I didn't know he was writing stories for his buddies and they do it every month. So I just want to see what he does. Like, does he get some personality? Does his voice go up and down? Because we love our Nick, but he's pretty,
I'm sure,
even keeled. You know what I mean? Like borderline monotone at times. So I want to see what he turns into. Like,
but when he's into something, you can tell he's into something, and and that passion shows. And I'm sure that will absolutely show when he's doing this. And I hope it does, because that would make it even that much more fun for us.
Yeah. So far it's gonna be you, myself. The guy I just apparently offended with a geriatric joke, 1/6 Shooter, and Nick. I think we're going to limit it at 3 players because I could not beg, bar, or steal a 4th. Just no one wanted anything to do with it. Too much time, too much commitment. Fuck you, Star Wars time. Sean's like, you know what? That's kind of our mantra with the community. So I didn't expect anything less. We love you all, but it's hard to get the love back, if you know what I'm saying. So. Good times. Jared's here. We're going to have fun. The show should flow as always. Clearly, we're going to get a different point of view in here because Nick's not here, and I can't essentially shame Jared into thinking the way I do, like I sometimes do with Nick. So we'll see what we got. We got some Bad Batch. We got some bad Mando news, in my opinion. We'll talk about that. We'll speculate on tomorrow's Bad Batch double episode. That's right. If you aren't on top of your Bad Batch schedule, tomorrow is a 2-episode drop, which means
I didn't realize that until now.
And I read Jared the titles, and we're in store for a doozy. I have a feeling. Okay, so we'll speculate our asses off on that. See what we get tomorrow on that 2-episode drop. But we will be at the halfway point after tomorrow of Bad Batch, and then we got 8 more to go. Mando's right around the corner. Jared, I started the rewatch with the family this week, and I was... I'm just, you know what? Starting with season 1, we're like, oh, yeah, we'll watch an episode, whatever. 3 episodes later, we're like, should we keep going? It's just... I think we all forget how fucking great The Mandalorian is, because it's been gone, man, for almost 3 years. Like, we have not had new Mando since the fall of 2020. Think about that.
That's a long time. Yeah,
super long time.
Yeah, Mando is something I will pick episodes out and rewatch when I'm feeling something. Like I'll go and season 2, episode 1 is probably my favorite episode when we see Cobb Vanth and the Krayt Dragon. I watch that episode all the time. It's just that's like a little mini great Star Wars movie right there.
It is, and it's like I said, the first 3 of season 1. It's the full arc of him and Grogu's finding each other and then realizing that there's more to life than just going after bounties and securing pucks from my man Grief Cardboard. Then we continued. I think we're already up to 7. So I was thinking I was behind schedule, but the way the Haywood family is going right now on the Mando rewatch, which is going to include the Book of Boba Fett, you motherfuckers, because it has to.
Yes.
Because according to Favreau, BOBF was Mando 2.5. It was the next true chapter of the Mandoverse story. So I'm hoping to get all that done before March 1, which literally will be here before we know it. So
I know, and this will be the first time we'll have 2 different new Star Wars.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Same time, right?
Does that kind of chap your ass, or more Star Wars the better?
I mean, I love Bad Batch and I love Star Wars, and I love Mando. So, I mean, number one thing I'll be looking forward to in the week is Mando. But then also I'll be like, oh yeah, I got Bad Batch too. Cool. And are they both dropping on Wednesdays?
Yeah. That's why, like, for someone like me, a content creator, a douchebag, if you will, someone that feels compelled from the deepest, darkest holes of their soul to create content, it's not going to be fun. And one of the days, my friend, is going to have 2 episodes of Bad Batch and an episode of Mandalorian. I'm just like, no, someone kill me now.
How many weeks will there be with that double Star Wars?
All of March. So March 1 through March 29. I mean, honestly, you're going to get close to, I think, 6-7 episodes of Bad Batch in addition to 4 or 5 episodes of Mando.
Man, I mean, it's going to be awesome. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of work.
Now, have you gotten used to the Wednesday drops, or do you wish they were still on Friday, or can you not even remember when new Star Wars Day used to be Friday? Definitely,
it wasn't really a huge difference for me. And I really don't like, just in general, how they drop it at midnight. Like, why can't it be dropped? And I'm sure there's probably a reason, like, oh, well, they don't want to crowd the servers or something. Why can't they drop it at like 9 or 10 p.m. sometime?
It is kind of bullshit that the West Coast essentially gets a stab at it when it's not considered night owl hours. I mean, they get it at their midnight. Over here on the East, if you want to be on top of things, I mean, you have to be up at 3 a.m. I mean, I'm not that crazy. I typically make it till 4:45, 5, but I hate the Wednesdays, and it's more because I do have a real life and a real job, and I got to get ready for work. Where on Fridays in academia, it's grading day, meeting day. So it was nice to have the morning to fuck off with Star Wars Time show, and then I could dedicate the rest of the day to work. But Wednesdays, I mean, I teach a class right at 11, so I got to somehow process multiple episodes, write scripts. Tough. Make the images, write the post, share the post. It's fucking nuts. Like I need a clone. Because
yeah, that's tough.
Nick ain't here for the nitty gritty. He is the celebrity. He's only here for the FaceTime, the show,
right?
The live show. That's it.
Well, for me, it's like, so I work from home, right at this desk, which is really great.
Me too, but it still sucks. You know what I mean?
So I'll usually, like, on Wednesday morning, I'll watch it first on my phone, which I know is like, it's Star Wars. I would rather do that than wait until after work to watch it. So I'll watch it first on my phone while, like, I'm working and slacking off.
Yeah.
And then later on that evening is when we'll watch it together on the TV, with like all lights dimmed and everything, all nice and special. And that's kind of the way I've gotten used to it. And I kind of enjoy that system, but I don't know. I still don't get why it can't be dropped. Like when they dropped the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan during Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah,
right?
they dropped it at a decent hour. It was just something special, awesome. Or maybe they fucked up and flipped the switch too early and kind of spun it like, oh yeah, it's a gift. But yeah, I don't know.
That was so cool. Why? Oh well. I mean, I'm okay with it, and I'm fine with it. But that would be so much better, and it would be cool to be like everyone in the world is watching this
at the same time.
Now.
Right. But you know what? I should be careful what I ask for. I don't want a double episode drop of the Mando, because then I'm looking at 2 Mandos, which is going to be 2 hours of sitting there, and then Bad Batch. Just like, no. So we'll see how I handle it when we get there. But obviously Mando is going to get preference. So in my mind, I'll probably do Mando, do that happy dance, do the real work shit, and then at night get into Bad Batch. So my Wednesdays through March are going to fucking blow. But at least it's Star Wars content that I can come here on Tuesdays and yell about with all of you like-minded individuals. All right, here we go. In the chat, man, 8 a.m. for the UK. That's not bad. Australia, they get it at 6:15 on Thursdays. That's pretty slick.
Yeah, that's actually quite nice.
I mean, Australia, they probably get fucked a lot on time zone stuff, but they definitely get a bonus there. So, all right. Well, I guess that's enough of first world white guy bitching. So let's move on to some pop culture talk, my friend. On the screen, I got up the Knock at the Cabin graphic. So I checked that out last week. For a few reasons. I haven't been to the movies in a while, and I am an AMC A+ subscriber, so I got to get my money. It's
Regal Unlimited over here.
Okay, what's your deal then? What is it, like $20 a month, and then how many movies can you see a week, or how much a month?
It's fully unlimited, which
Okay.
I mean, the AMC one would be fine for me, but it's like $22.99 a month or $21.99 or something
and then
like that.
you could see like 15 movies in a single day.
Yeah. And you get a lot of popcorn discounts. Like every time I show up and swipe it, I get a lot of.
Oh yeah.
Because I can't go to the movies without a big old.
Oh no.
The biggest popcorn.
Well, I
soda.
like you, so I'm not gonna go. I hate people that eat shit in the movies, and my daughter has become one because one time we went with a friend. Like I had her trained, Jared, where we go to the movies, we walk in, we smuggle in all her shit in her pack, so we're not spending money on popcorn and ices. But we go one time with a friend, my friend, and his daughter. And what does he do? He buys her the icy and the popcorn. Now every time, hey, Daddy, we getting the icy? We getting the popcorn? And he's like, fuck. And then just sitting there, it goes to waste, not eating it. Speaking of my little icy girl, here she is right here. Come on. I don't think Jared's usually here for when Charlie shows up.
Hey, Charlie.
That's my buddy Jared. He's filling in for Nick today on the show.
Nice to meet you. Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
What do you think?
That's good.
Jared's he's a famous toy photographer that blows stuff up with gasoline and fireworks.
Oh,
What do you think?
cool.
Remember when we used to do Fire in the Hole?
Yeah.
That's I learned it from
Fire in
that
the
guy.
Hole.
I learned it from that guy right there. All right, well, good to see you. You tell everyone what we watched this
See ya.
weekend? What did we get into? A little Mando?
Yep.
That's right. And
Awesome.
and we're still on our MCU chronological rewatch. We've made it up to through Thor: The Dark World, so we're doing strong on that.
Yeah, real strong.
All right.
Cool.
Good to see you, bud. Love you. See you. Okay. Yeah, that's part of the early show that I know sometimes you don't get in here. So, but yeah, back to movie etiquette. So yeah, I can't stand people that eat in the movies. I give my daughter a pass because she's my own flesh and blood.
It's part of the experience.
No, I didn't. I hate it.
Plus, I gotta support. If you want to support the movie theater going industry, you gotta buy you gotta support the movie theaters. Get in the soda, get in the drinks. That's
I guess it's okay if you're doing it and the theater is lightly packed, but when it's a packed theater and you have to sit next to another meat bag that you probably don't want to sit next to, and they're one of these loud eaters, like
anything that's distracting in the theater is gonna piss me off.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I mean,
So
it's like I want
get
to like
that.
grab my key and stab him in the eye, something like that. But hey, I get it. Yeah. So they don't restrict you at all. Like you go to Atmos screens or 3D, and
As far there are some extra tack on. Like there's little things like if there's 3D or like RPX or whatever that stuff, then it'll be an extra like $1.50 or something.
Okay.
And if you get your ticket on the app ahead of time, it's an extra 50 cents
to use the app
to get your ticket ahead of time. But if you just show up to the theater, give them your card, there's no fee. So
how does that make sense? They like every other theater, it's the opposite. They're like, use the app so we don't have to pay humans to sell tickets.
I think it's just another way because they know that people are gonna use the app anyway. It's just another way to get a couple,
I guess,
cents here. But
well, there's a big hubbub yesterday on AMC where they're considering, or I think they are going to roll out essentially they're going to start charging for seats as you would go to an arena. So the better seats are going to cost more than the shittier seats now.
What?
And there's been a lot of people like, fuck you, this sucks, horrible idea. Where I'm like, I kind of see what they're doing here. It's like, hey, if you want to sit in the front row, you can go watch the newest movie for $5. But if you want to watch the same movie sitting in the middle row best seat, you're going to spend a premium.
That's interesting. I'm sure there will be some people that don't really care that will be like, all right, nice. Because there's a lot of, just the general population.
Dude,
of people don't care.
I purposely choose to shit. I've never shit in a movie theater. So let me take that back. I purposely choose to sit in the it's not the very front row. It's the lower bowl or like, on the floor still handicap row. So you got a lot of that, like the companion handicap seats and then the open spots for chairs. That's where I'll sit.
Oh, cool.
99% of the time, because A, I know no one's going to sit next to me if I'm going by myself, and B, it's actually not a bad viewpoint down there in the handicap row. And no, I've never been thrown out because a handicapped person needed my seat or their companion needed my seat. So there's some wisdom for you. All right, I guess we should actually do something. Sometimes I read the chat here and I get lost. Popcorn and icy. Yeah, Linda's a popcorn and icy mom, just like I'm a popcorn and icy dad. Pre-order tickets, that's right. You got to do it that way. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, Knock at the Cabin. The whole reason we just went on that little tangent. The latest movie from M. Night, Mr. Twist. I'm sure most people are familiar with his catalog at this point in time. But honestly, Jared, one of the main reasons I wanted to go see this because I'm a huge fan of Dave Bautista.
Me too. Especially lately.
I kind of dipped out of WWF before he entered. I mean, I'm a Rock guy. Like I think Nick and I were talking about this last week. Like the Attitude Era with the Rock, Degeneration X. That's my shit. You would have been like 4 when that was out. What the hell were you doing watching that stuff?
When I was probably 98 or 9.
Yeah, okay.
The Hulk and Kurt Angle was big at the time. I hated him though. I liked the Hardy Boys.
Oh, Angle was great. What?
But
what?
Yeah. I always thought he was a total dweeb, and The Rock was always my favorite. And then right after when
Cena, like the next era was essentially Cena and Batista. Yeah, I know Batista came in when The Rock was still doing it. But anyways, I find Dave Bautista to be a great actor for being a large individual. I love The Rock. I'm not one of these people that hate him.
Me too.
I love the guy. I don't know why. I've loved him since WWE, and I still do now. Watch his show, Young Rock, consume whatever he puts out. But the Rock, he's an Arnold. I mean, he's not really a dramatic type of guy. He's mostly been in movies where he's the dude knocking heads, doing fantastical stuff with his body. Where Dave, on the other hand, has taken on more subdued roles that you wouldn't quite line up with a guy of his Hulk-like size. I mean, I still think he played one of the best roles in Blade Runner 2049. It was like a little quick one-off part at the beginning. He plays great comedy roles, like that movie he did with Kumail Nanjiani, where he hires him as an Uber driver, but Dave's like a cop. That was fantastic. And then obviously he's great as Drax, but he's just good. Like I like Dave Bautista as an actor.
Yeah, he's good in Glass Onion.
Yeah, very good. Good in Dune. I mean, he's just good. And so that's one of the main reasons I want to go check this out, because I kept reading this was a role Dave really wanted because it was going to challenge him to be more than just an action guy. And it did challenge him, and he actually paid off on it. I think Dave is probably the standout in Knock at the Cabin. He is, I would argue, the lead character in the movie. Lots of dialogue, and it has to be delivered with emotion that you wouldn't necessarily associate with a guy that looks like Dave Bautista. And Jared, they even have him extra bulked up in this movie. Like they're like, "Hey, Dave, you're allowed to eat a little bit for this movie." I'm not saying he was fat. He was just you could tell he wasn't all leaned out, diced. But he's great as this character Leonard, and I'm not going to give anything away. It is based on a book, so if you've read the book, you kind of have a general idea. I will say this is an M. Night movie that doesn't necessarily have one of his patented twists. Whether you like his twists or not, this isn't one of those types of movies. It's more a movie where it's just the drama and tension just kind of keeps you raised in your seat a little bit. Like, are they going to do this shit? This is a fucked up scenario where essentially you have these 4 strangers show up this gay couple's vacation cabin with their daughter, and they present a choice. Like, listen, one of you have to sacrifice one of you all to save the world. And if you don't, we're going to unleash 4 apocalypses upon the earth. And you're like,
cool concept.
It is. And the way it's delivered, you question, like, okay, they could be telling the truth, but they seem nuts. And you kind of see the characters going through those conversations in their head too. Like at first, obviously, they're like, "Get the fuck out of here! You're against my family." But slowly they're like, are they may have a point. Did you see what just happened? Is it coincidence? Is it not? So, if you're someone that likes to think about the concepts of faith-based people versus people that, aren't quite into religion and don't just leap into it with the promise of just having faith, like faith is a huge thing in religion. Without faith, what is it? You got to have that faith to believe in the fantastical that religions promise you. So it kind of tackles those types of ideologies. And I wouldn't say it's M. Night's best movie, but it's definitely in his upper echelon. He's got great, he's got okay, and then he's got shit. This is up there in like borderline great and okay.
Cool. I've appreciated his return. I liked Old a lot.
I did
really
too.
I
mean, a lot of people didn't like it, but just for a little throwaway hour and a half, hour 40.
It was silly, but
it was okay.
I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it was an
great.
odd concept, and I kind of want to return to The Village because I haven't watched that since it came out, and that's one now that I've heard people are going back like, damn, it really was a damn good movie for
I
the
loved
time
that when it came out.
I think that was Bryce Dallas Harper's first like starring lead role.
Yeah.
And now she's directing Mando season 1, season 2, The Book of Boba Fett, and season 3. So
there you go.
Nepo babies. Shit, dude. She's as Nepo baby as it gets, but she's good, so I'm not going to shit on her. But I mean, she was literally George Lucas is essentially like her godfather. I mean, Ron, her dad was like George's guy. I mean, he was in American Graffiti. Then they worked hand in hand. All ran in the same circles. So sucks for us, right? We were just born in the wrong location at the wrong time.
But we get good Star Wars from it.
There you go. Although I wish my last name was Howard. That'd be okay. I think I would take that. Howard, Haywood, they both have H's. It could work. All right. So, Knock at the Cabin, I do recommend. It's probably, I don't find it as like, oh, you got to go to a theater. But if someone that loves cinema, why not? Go. Support it. Try to bring up some of my AMC stock price that I forgot to sell back in those days when the meme stocks were fun. And now I got a bunch of the shit and it's worth nothing. And it's probably worth, hold on. After yesterday's announcement, I bet it lost $2 or $3. Let me go check. Only $1, but we're doing all right. I've actually, do you fuck around with any sort of investing, crypto anymore, stocks or no? Okay.
No, I couldn't even tell you the first thing about it.
All right.
To be honest.
My new thing to do, because the way the markets are, stocks aren't great, crypto's bottomed out a bit. My new thing to play with money and try to make more is sportsbook gambling, because it just went live in Ohio in January, and I think I've talked about this, dude, but it's awful what these companies are allowed to do to entice you to gamble. So Ohio is a new state, and they're literally like, hey, here's the bet. In this football game, a team will score a touchdown. Like, those were the bets they're offering. A touchdown will be scored in a football game. Not by who, by a team, just A. Or they're like, hey, if you invest $25, we'll give you $200 in gambling credit. So, of course, I'm like, okay, free money, blah, blah, blah. Sign up, and sure as shit, by the championship games 2 weekends ago, because we didn't have football this past weekend, Here I am on my phone betting in game the Eagles are going to score on this touchdown or the Chiefs are going to punt. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm not like I don't get caught up in get rich quick scams, but I do get caught up in the allure of gambling, because that's all crypto is. That's all the stocks are. It's all the same shit. Don't let anyone tell you that, oh, you shouldn't gamble, that's risky. Well, do you invest in stocks? It's just as fucking risky. There's no science behind it, just like crypto. So, good. Yeah. Stay away. Just you should be saving some money, I hope, but don't gamble and don't do crypto right now.
Yeah, just investments in, hot toys.
There you go.
That's it.
In the Funko, well, I don't know about modern Funkos, but I will tell you firsthand, the Funkos I collected from 2010 probably through 2016, I made $20,000 on them.
I've heard. That's pretty amazing.
Literally redid a bathroom and laid new wood floor in a family room because of shedding some older Funko Pops. And I still have all my Star Wars ones, and there are a few in there that are worth thousands, just singulars. But I was like, I'll keep my Funko. I gotta keep my Star Wars. But even now, I'm like, like you said, I really am. I've just gone right into 1/6. I don't really pay attention to the 112 anymore. Haven't bought a new Black Series figure in 23. Canceled most of my pre-orders that I can at least remember.
And I've been watching the show, and I've seen your arc of when with collecting and like all this stuff, haven't shot it yet, and all this stuff like that. And and I've noticed you've cut back a little bit. You've just been focusing on things you want, and I can just feel and see you more happy. You're happier. I'm being serious. I can tell. So that's great.
I'm just getting better at shoving it down inside and trying not to think about it. Because I did clear the deck of my 1/6, but dude, I probably have 40 112s from the last 2 to 3 years, just either still in their box or laying opened, stacked on top of each other. And every time I walk by that pile, I do feel like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what have I become? This doesn't make me happy. I wish there was a way to find someone that's like, dude, you throw all of your Black Series into a box. Let me know how many there are, and I'll give you $2,000. I would do it in a heartbeat. And I probably have $5,000 to $6,000 worth of Black Series.
Oh, I'm sure. You should look into like local like Comic-Cons or like toy shows or something, and you could get like a table and just like sell them at the table. And I'm serious.
I know.
You probably do really well.
I don't have boxes. I throw the boxes out. I have the accessories
like loose figures
scattered, so I just don't want to deal with it. I mean, even like the Mezco 112, like the nice stuff, I have those boxes, but I don't want to go up and find them. I just want them out.
Yeah.
Get out of my field of view. You know what I mean? It's like anything in your life that might be causing you emotional distress. If you see it every day, it just kind of digs at you. And I work and live in this basement essentially, and I'm surrounded by it. But I digress. I shall move on. So I should just send them to Jared. At least then he would take cool fucking pictures of them. I'm
also. I mean, I'm not at the point where I got too much, but I've been cutting back quite drastically.
Did you ever? I'm sure a lot of people. Let's get to know Sir Dork a bit. Have you, and how often, if you have, gotten free product based on your skills, or is that few and far between?
Every so often. I guess it depends. I recently became like a McFarlane.
I saw you were networking with the big wigs a few weeks back.
So they send me stuff quite often, and it's almost like overwhelming. It's just like, you just sent me all this. What am I supposed to do? I have so much more. So I think what I'm like, and there's some stuff from other places that comes into from other jobs here and there, but I'm just kind of holding on to it, and I think I'm just gonna be doing like constant like giveaways or something on live streams on the channel or something.
Honestly, if I had a real channel, I have probably 15 unopened Black Series from last year before. I'd be happy to do giveaways, but it's useless. It's useless. Like I would get no new followers. No one would give a fuck. The giveaway would go nowhere. But
the person who would win would be a very happy new Black Series owner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't care, man. Like, listen. I've been doing this too long to not get a little reach around these days. Like if I'm giving away 15 Black Series figures, I want something in return. AKA, I want another 1,000 fucking subscribers or something.
Right.
But short of offering free blowjobs or hand jobs to people, I don't know what else I can do to convince like-minded, slightly off-kilter Star Wars fans to tune into the Star Wars Time Show on a weekly basis. I've given up mostly, so maybe
Connor in the live chat says he's got a local guy who would buy a whole Black Series lot.
Yeah, the local guy will probably offer me $500 for 2,000 figures. I mean,
right.
I get it. Like, I know they have to make money themselves. I have to feel like I got some, but I'll have to figure it out. I'll have to take, like, I don't think you all understand like the gravity of this situation. I mean, I'm talking probably close to 500 Black Series figures.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So
it's a lot.
I mean, dude, because when I was like, oh yeah, I used to just shoot Funko, I was like, oh, Black Series looks cool. So I'm the dickhead that went on eBay and bought all the old black box Black Series, like when they looked shitty. You know, when Obi-Wan Kenobi looked like he huffed paint all day and his eyes were crooked. They were awful. They were awful. But I spent like $70 a figure to get all those because I didn't start collecting Black Series till 2017, and it was already out for 3 years.
There's a way out somewhere.
All right.
Somewhere.
I should stay focused. See, this is what happens when new people come in. I got new shit to talk about because I know Jared actually is interested in collecting in this stuff, where I know Nick could give a fuck, so we don't talk about that much. But
that's true. But
Jared's into it, so now I got someone to sit here and bitch and moan to, but I know it's probably not that entertaining. Connor's saying, I can tell you from experience he starts at 35% value, but is very reasonable, can be talked up to 55%. Yeah. I just let me count them all. I'll make up a number, and maybe we'll Connor can be my middleman here. All right, you got a question, Sir Dork. Do you get stands for figures? This is coming from Rachel Doyle.
Not all the time. I usually will just kind of like, for my shelf, I'll just kind of plop them up and hope they don't fall down, and then they usually fall down. But for photos, I just use like little wooden skewers, those little wooden things. But yeah, when you can get.
So like your display, if that falls over, do you immediately get angry, or are you a normal person? You're just like, I'll get to it, I'll fix it. Like, to me, when they start that dominoes, I almost go to like kill mode.
It depends on how big the domino is.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to set them in, and then there's a big domino, I'll usually will like kind of just leave and come back.
Yeah.
Pisses me off. But every once in a while, somebody just fall down, and he'll just be like on the ground for like 2 days, and I'm like, okay, I gotta put him back because I just don't feel.
Yeah, I still, in some of my nice glass shelves, because I have yet to dust them or clean them in multiple years. I have some of my figure arts, and one dickhead in the back, I think it was Kylo, started it, and they all fell over, and I'm talking probably 8 across, 8 deep. So about 64 figures. They're all still laying down now. And that's been years at this point. Like, that's how far gone I am from the little guys. That's the big guys. You don't even need the fucking stands like these things that they send with the Hot Toys, right? You don't need that shit. You just stand them on their feet. They stand there all nice and pretty looking with their soft goods, leather, and sometimes, that felt feel. Fuck, I hate the little things. But whoever asked, Rachel, in my, like, where I keep the Black Series, I have one shelf. They're all on these little stands that I have my buddy 3D print, and they still fucking fall over. So it doesn't matter. Like, 112 scale figures suck to display. They just absolutely suck.
It's going to happen.
All right.
That's the way it is.
So, some other pop culture stuff that I know Jared is keyed up on here. The Last of Us. We had episode 4 drop this past Sunday. We'll keep spoilers light for the TV show, not so much for the game. So I watched it last night, and I'm finding myself, I think one of my favorite things to do is like, oh, that's from the game, or that's from the game. That's a little bit different from the game. And this is an episode that definitely had a lot of spot on game moments, but also kind of changed the location of where Joel and Ellie run into these hunters at. This in the game, it happened in Pittsburgh, where in the show it's Kansas City.
Right, Kansas City.
But it's still kind of the same deal. And without getting too in detail, the game also never really gets into the hierarchy of the hunter leadership, if you know what I mean. Like that lady and the guy, they don't really exist in game, but Joel and Ellie definitely run across some renegade type of motherfuckers, and the whole crash in the truck thing, that was all from the game. The joke book from the game, a lot of good stuff there.
Before going into the show, I knew the game existed, and all I knew about it was a guy and a young girl in the post-apocalypse. That's like, I knew nothing more than that. So I've been going into the show completely.
Okay. So this is just fresh to you,
objectively, totally. And I mean, it's great because I don't have any
Right.
Sometimes I kind of like not having that knowledge.
Dude, I'm telling you right now,
this
is a great property to not have that, because I watch every episode with a pit in my stomach. Because I know future events. I know ultimately what's going to go down, and shit. After they announce that season 2 is greenlit, I honestly might not watch it because I know the events that are going to happen early on. It's just, and that's why The Last of Us as a property is such a banger, because it can get that grasp on your soul and your emotions and the situations it presents to you. You know, who gives a shit about the cordyceps and the fungus and the zombies? That's nothing about The Last of Us. The Last of Us, it's all about humanity and how people behave when there is no more law and order. Right. And that's really what we're seeing in this episode, and what we're going to see throughout the rest of season 1 and season 2. But this episode in particular, I really enjoyed the moments between Pedro and Bella. You know, for the first time, I think you really start to see that Joel is starting to look at her as more than just cargo, even though that's what he called her.
Even though that's what he said. Right.
But there is a bond starting to form, which us as gamers know is eventually going to become a very strong bond.
Yeah. It's so much, and like it feels very natural, and especially just when they're out not by the fire, but camping out basically, and the joke book, and yeah, you can tell he really he cares about. Yeah,
I mean, the dude didn't even sleep. When they were camping, he's like, yeah, we're fine. And then the camera zooms in on him. He's got the gun right next to him. He's wide awake standing there. So, and then the way he dealt with what he thought was her, first kill was a good moment too, and kind of showing her how to use the gun properly. You could see Ellie's like, oh, all right, cool. So that is one slight difference, is at this point in the game, Ellie is still not really into the concept of killing people and shooting people herself. In the game, she's a little more reserved at this stage, not so much like in the show, where to me it feels like Bella's Ellie is like, all right, yeah, let's fucking kill, like I've killed before, I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm 14. Yeah. I've already killed people. Yeah. So that's a slight change. But without talking about the ending, I'm excited to see where next week leads, how they handle that, because the surprise at the end, that those people are in the game. I'll leave it at that without naming names. Cool. So
can't wait.
Yeah. All right. We got another question here from a Rachel. I like it, Rachel. Keep it up. What's your guys' favorite Black Series figures? I'll let you start with that. Do you good with just right off the top of your head, your favorite?
Yeah, the Patrol Trooper.
Your guy. Yeah, my favorite. It's the guy, right behind his head. If you're on the live stream,
this guy.
Which by the way, if you'd like to join the live stream, if you're just listening now on the podcast version, we do them 2:30 East on YouTube at Star Wars Time Show. I think for me, it's probably X-Wing pilot Luke, the newer one where his face doesn't look like he has makeup, and one of the Revans. I'm probably going to lean towards light side Revan. I really dig that light side Revan figure, even though he's essentially just one big rubber mold because they didn't give him soft goods. But that white Revan just looks fucking good. Like, he just looks
really
good.
Cool.
I am a little jealous that you all are going to have the chance to buy a Malgus, it looks like, soon. I think that was revealed last week.
Did see that.
You might get me to buy that, even though I didn't move on the Bastilla Shans or any other stuff. So I think I'm fully cut of the Black Series, but we'll see. You give me a Malgus Hot Toys for fucking sure, I'll grab that. But it's not going to happen.
Yeah, maybe one day if it ever comes to, if we ever get a Old Republic live action, who knows?
Yeah,
but that's
how many 1/6 do you have these days, dude?
10 to 12-ish.
Do you find yourself adding a couple a year, or is it just you get you just get something up your ass? You're like, I got to get this figure.
It's that, yeah. It depends, because I've gotten really good at saying I don't need that, Like I don't have that type of perfectionist mentality. Like I got to get this to have them all. I just like whenever I think looks cool, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get that. So, which is a really great and hard thing to get to.
I need to break the wave
yeah.
mentality, because the wave mentality when you collect 1/6 is very dangerous. And by wave mentality, I mean you got to have everything in the wave. So, for example, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series last year, we eventually got the trickling out of Kenobi Hot Toys figures. And of course, my dumbass, I'm pretty sure I have everyone on pre-order, even though I probably don't need them all. I got Reva, I got the Grand Inquisitor, I got Kenobi, I got Vader, and I got the Purge Trooper. I think that's the whole fucking shoot and match for
that. Vader looks great.
The Kenobi, I'd argue his face looks a little fucked up, but I still had to get it. The Vader was the must-have, but I got them all. Why not? You got to. Even watching The Mandalorian, I remember Mandalorian, I had all those pre-ordered and eventually was able to cancel Kuiil. But as I'm rewatching Mando episodes 1, 2, and 3 last week, I'm like, how the fuck did I cancel Kuiil? Like, how could I, as a Star Wars addict and collector, cancel Kuiil? Like, if you really think about Kuiil and his arc, he is one of the most impactful motherfuckers in all of Star Wars.
He really is.
Without Kuiil, Mando is done on Arvala 7. That's it. Done.
It's true.
Eaten by a blurg as soon as he gets off his fucking Razor Crest.
So you didn't get the big blurg?
No, I canceled it all, man. And now it's like, I mean, Kuiil is still available, but for me, because I'm so trained on payment plans on Sideshow, even though I don't really have to do payment plans, I'm fortunate enough to have that type of scratch. The fact that I have to pay straight up, I can't do it. Like I can't just drop $245 on a Kuiil for some reason, and I feel like I need them now.
I thought that they implemented a new thing where you could do the payment plan even on in-stock items.
I'll have to look.
Because I was thinking that same thing, and then my girlfriend, fiance now, she was like, "No, you can do the payment plan now, even in stock items." I was like, "Really?"
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Now that I just reminded myself, I might have to snag Kuiil, because he's literally, dude, he'd be the only one I don't have from Mando proper. Like I skipped on Casca Reeves, I skipped on Axe Woves, but I got Bo, both the Dins, brown suit, full Beskar, IG-11, Paz.
What about the new Chrome Mando?
Armorer. No, fuck him. I can't do it.
I was
about to jump off that cliff, but I heard from Tones that his head system is the same as the Boba Fett repaint fucker. And I don't know if you heard my trials and tribulations with that dickhead, but no way. I will not buy a figure that uses that head swap system. And by that, I mean, you literally, on some Hot Toys, like normal ones, you can just pop their helmet off and then jam the head onto the same peg. No. With these new Mando figures, you have to rip out a generic black neck from the ball joint that is like deep into the chest of the figure. Then you can jam in the flesh head. And the flesh head, you'll see it's got a very elongated neck piece.
Right.
And to get mine out, I had to use a hairdryer and fucking pliers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like that either.
Fuck you, Hot Toys. That's bullshit. It's bullshit because they've done it. I mean, Bo-Katan, case in point. You can take her fucking helmet off, and then you just pop her head right on the same fucking peg. But for some reason, now with Boba Fett and that awesome looking shiny Din, you have this dumb shit system with this black plastic neck fill piece for their helmet that sits on a piece of foam.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I usually just keep the helmets on. I rarely ever switch to the face sculpts.
I had to get that Tamara sculpt for the Boba Fett repaint, like sitting on the arm or on the throne. I had to get it on there. So
it's fantastic.
So I sucked it up, scratched the fuck out of the neck piece, and I will never change the head again. He forever will just be holding his helmet on his lap like a good little daimyo. So yeah, Last of Us continues to be great. Jared, do you have any other 2 cents to add to that?
My thing is just I'm so impressed with just the how incredible the post-apocalyptic world looks. Every single scene is a different area that looks like a massive set it looks, and it's,
Yeah,
the
and
detail is
I
incredible.
don't-
I'm just blown away how they do this.
And I don't think they're using like volume technology per se.
I don't. Right, me neither. And you know how like a lot of HBO shows before the show starts will say, "Stay tuned at the end of the episode to watch a special behind the scene." Like
Right.
Game of Thrones did that, but they don't do that for this show.
No,
which
it's
I
here.
wish they
It's
did.
here. No. They HBO has they don't advertise it anymore, but if you just let it run through the credits, it'll roll right into the trailer for next week and then the inside look.
Oh, it has that.
Yes.
Oh.
So all four
I'm gonna go
episodes,
back and do that with
all
every
four
episode.
episodes have it. So you just got to fast forward through the credits, then the trailer will play, and then you'll get the inside look.
That's huge. Okay, cool.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm
I've
excited
watched
to do
them all, and I have seen nothing that indicates they're using a ton of LED projection walls. So they're either out real world and they've dressed the fuck out of sets, or they have like those huge green screen walls out in the real world
That's what I
that
thought.
they can then dub in like the distance apocalyptic settings. So
That's what I was thinking too.
yeah, but fantastic stuff, and best of all, it's got our man Pedro in it. Speaking of Pedro, do you get into SNL at all? Saturday Night Live?
Not really, but I did see a little bit of what he did. I saw the one sketch with him in the Super Mario.
Yeah, dude. So I haven't watched it, but I've heard that Pedro just absolutely dominated SNL, and it was like one of the best episodes ever. So I need to go back and watch it. But yeah, he was like a gangster Super Mario and Mario Kart and stuff.
Yeah, I just saw that one, and it was fantastic. And yeah, maybe I would love to go.
Yeah,
back
no,
and watch the
I'm
full
definitely gonna
episodes.
go rewatch it because this guy has really become one of my favorite actors, and I didn't know shit about him until he played Oberyn in Game of Thrones, and then from here, like just more bit parts. I think he went in the Narcos, and then eventually made it to Mando, and the rest is history. But his movie with Nick Cage was fantastic. His character in that weird pandemic movie on Netflix was great. He has a good interaction with Daisy Ridley. I just thoroughly enjoy the dude. Like he seems like a chill motherfucker. I'd like to sit down, smoke a little Doja with him, talk about life, maybe have some tequila.
Yeah, he's really great. I really
What do you think is the worst accessory a Black Series figure came with? There any Black Series figure that comes with soft goods. The soft goods being the bad accessory, because their cloaks are fucking piss. They have like the KKK hoods for Jedi, so that's my response.
Yeah, well, it's even worse when like just one of the Kylo ones has a rubber hood, and you could just like attach it or detach it.
from Tross, the Tross Kylo.
Yeah, and it's just
Terrible.
like, what am I supposed to even do with this?
Terrible.
But that's all right.
Terrible. All right. Well, there you go. Okay, I guess we can go home. We talked a lot. Nah, we still got our Bad Batch to get through, but real quick before I get there, we got some reminders. Don't forget, yours truly right here. I grind away on the content creation in between shows, so make sure that you're following the Star Wars Time Show on YouTube at Star Wars Time Show. We got some shorts out there you may have missed. I've been asked to do an ethics and AI presentation for my real job, so I went knee deep in the Chat GPT last week. I'm becoming quite an expert, and I had it rewrite the Rey's ending to The Rise of Skywalker, so you could check that short out.
Right, that was cool.
I did Darth LVJ, thank you, my man or my girl, for clipping our Zepho discovery last week, so we got that for you to watch if you missed that, and of course the Bad Batch content from S2E6. Don't forget, shorts are out there, comic book breakdowns. We got you covered. All right, man, it's time to Bad Batch. So you know how we usually do it. We start with our self-reviews, then we go through and highlight some of the top moments, at least to me. You obviously can chime in, and then we'll pick apart some of the references and Aggie type of stuff after. So since you are the guest, and a special one at that, what say you about Bad Batch S2E6 Tribe?
I thought it was sweet. I thought it was a great episode. And whenever I go into a new Bad Batch episode, I don't really get my hopes up to where it's like it's a huge like addition to Star Wars lore, because sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't.
Well,
and
you probably remember how the Clone Wars was, where you would literally you never had an overarching story, and you would have mini arcs, but most times they were one-offs or little insights into things. So thank you.
Right, exactly, and that's how it is, and that's okay. But this one had a lot of great, cool stuff. Like with just seeing Gunji again, which was really cool, and just seeing a lightsaber.
I'm
Was
just
cool.
glad I know how to pronounce his name now, because I always went with Gungi. Gungi.
I always thought it was Gunji, but I knew there wasn't like. I knew there wasn't like a set, but yeah, Gunji just makes more sense. And what I really liked was this was the first time, at least I've ever seen, like. Because I've always, I know the huge basic rivalry between the Wookiees and the Trandoshans because I knew, the Trandoshans
that's
would
why
kill them
right
for
there.
pelts.
That's it right there. So,
and it was cool to finally see that. It's like, okay, this is it.
Mhm.
Like this is just happening. So like that was great to see that. That was one of my favorite things. But it's also just a cool story. Just seeing Kashyyyk. Like I don't remember
I believe that's the first time we saw it in animated form. We did get it. We got it in Revenge of the Sith. When Yoda's there with Bacca and all them and Gree. But I think this is the first time in animated form. And boy, oh boy, is it a great planet for animation because it looked fantastic. So go ahead. Sorry, I was cutting in on your.
No, it was really awesome, and I really liked those cool creature things the Wookiees were riding on that had like big ears.
Yeah, they're like monkey tigers.
Yeah, I thought that was just very it felt very prequel.
Yeah,
Star Wars
totally. I mean, that's as Star Wars
like,
as it gets. And that's honestly, I didn't find the name of that alien. It wasn't in the captions or whatever. But I always wonder if that's something that was left over from the Clone Wars era, like concept art that was just hanging out that Filoni or someone remembered, like, oh yeah, let's fold this in finally.
I bet it was because a lot of the it's just random things we get like that, and even in live action, just were old designs or whatever. So I bet you it was. That would be really cool if it was.
Rachel's telling us Kashyyyk was in Rebels, so I'll just have to take their word for it now. Yeah. I don't remember it, but like I said, I also don't check facts live, so we'll have to get back to it.
I don't remember it either. I did a recent rewatch too. It was in Jedi Fallen Order, which I guess kind of counts as animation.
Yeah, but it had Cal Kestis in it, so it doesn't count.
Right, the milk toast.
Listen, I'm going to give him another chance come April now. I'm giving him a chance.
Yes,
he's had 5 years to grow. Maybe he's gotten a little edgier, a little more interesting, but I'm sorry.
Facial hair.
Unless you're like a young person that you're like, oh yeah, he's cool. I can do these cool things with him. Cal was as plain Jane as it gets, as well as the Fallen Order story in general, in my opinion.
All of your complaints about the combat I am right there with you. I also was quite frustrated.
It seems like they added ways to almost make him fight like a Jedi in the sequel, but it looks like they're still going to rely on some of that very heavy time-based parry counter bullshit that people dig in a game with light-based swords. But okay, who cares?
We'll see.
All right, so anything else on the episode before I give my 2 cents?
I'm sure when you give your 2 cents, there'll be things that will pop into my head.
Like Jared found it to be highly entertaining. I'll talk about this more once we get into the eggs and references portion of our breakdown, but I really loved how this was essentially repurposed Clone Wars, like down to scenes, characters, moments. If you were at Celebration 2015, you know exactly what I'm talking about because they were showing it off in rudimentary form. So I dug that they finally got to get this story out there in a finished version. But I enjoyed obviously getting Gunji in there. Anytime you can get a connection to the Clone Wars, especially with the mystical side of the Clone Wars with the Jedi and a Wookiee Jedi at that, because there aren't many Wookiee Jedi in canon these days. I mean, I know there's one in the High Republic. Don't know his name because I really
Boryaga.
There you go,
Boryaga.
And I think there might have been one other who may be legend at this point in time, and then you have Gunji. So it's just they weren't, for whatever reason, and I'm sure there's an explanation out there. The Wookiees didn't always quite have the Force-sensitive children to be stolen. So I always like those tiebacks.
They're special.
But I think to me, man, my favorite part was. This is really the first episode since the premiere where the Bad Batch and the Empire were back in the same episode together, having to deal with each other. And and this is something that I wrote down as one of my questions. I might as well just ask it now. But to me, Jared, I felt like this episode and what they did on Kashyyyk was the Bad Batch's first official act against the Empire. What say you? Now they've been on other missions where they're working for Sid and the Empire was screwing their plans, but they were literally working for Sid on a mission and had to get out and save themselves. In this, they chose to fight the Empire. They could have left as soon as they reunited Gungi with the Wookiees, but thanks to Tech, they, for the first time in my opinion, made a conscious choice to take on the Empire in the name of those that need help.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's all I can remember. Because most of last season was kind of just like they're on a mission, and the Empire is kind of like an obstacle or something.
Correct.
They're not doing something completely like fighting against them directly in what their goals are, whatever. And that's a cool point, and that's kind of like what Echo seems to be
pushing them
wanting
towards
a lot. Yeah, so far.
I mean, he's all in. I mean, I've been saying that since the premiere episode. I was like, this is going to be one of the themes throughout the season. Is going to be Echo pushing the others to kind of wake up and smell the coffee. Like, listen, guys, we were born and bred for a reason, and that reason is to protect those who can't protect themselves. And we got to do that against the Empire because this thing is bad news. And I really felt like for the first time on Kashyyyk, seeing Wookiees getting enslaved, seeing villages getting razed for no good reason, and just how the Trandoshans were treating them, the message, I wouldn't say Hunter is still fully on board, but I think it came through a little clearly. Like, yeah, we have a particular skill set that can help the galaxy at this point in time, and it may be time to start enacting it more than we have.
Yeah, and you kind of got that when he was, I think, explaining to the Wookiee leader lady, because she's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "We saw this person in need, and we're not going to let some, that's our number one thing to help."
Yeah, so
thought that was cool.
That's why, I mean, to me, and that's why I know a lot of people, another self-contained episode, and yes, it mostly was, but that to me was a big moment in season 2. I think they are going to be much more open to direct confrontation, direct meddling with the Empire now after this Kashyyyk mission in the Tribe episode.
Yeah, it was self-contained and there wasn't a whole lot necessarily about the Bad Batch's story going forward, but there was a lot of stuff that filled in little holes in the overall Star Wars
and
story.
I think that's what the series is for. I mean, the Bad Batch themselves, I don't want to say they're disposable, but they're more or less vehicles to open our eyes to what was happening at this point in time.
Yeah, I agree.
If any of them get extended narratives or deeper lore, it's going to be Omega because of her ties to the Fett family and just the potential for her to have stories in the Mandoverse era and beyond. The other guys, I think their time ends in Bad Batch.
Yeah, I think so too, unfortunately, but
because it's like I've said before, the other named clones, like if you're going to get the named clones Rex, Wolf, and Gregor, by the time the Empire, we have open rebellion against the Empire, where are these other guys? So you're not going to have these guys just be like, fuck it, we kicked the Empire's ass. Omega is somewhat safe. She's older now. We're going to go retire. I sadly think the Bad Batch, the Codys of the world, they're all destined for a heroic sacrifice, but a sacrifice nonetheless.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the same thing.
So good episode overall. I for some reason when Crosshair's not involved, it does feel like something's missing. But like I said, having the Empire and the Batch together again for the first time since the premiere was nice. So let's go through some of the top moments I had noted. And Jared, if I miss any that stood out to you, please just be like, hey. You're not the end-all, be-all, pal. I like this scene. But I got to start with just I guess, according to my notes, the fungi save. I'm guessing I meant Gungi save. I really liked the opening and how Omega kind of gets the team mixed up in saving Gungi, but I liked Gungi's actions himself when the what were they called, the Vanguard Axis approached them.
Yeah, I liked them. I thought that they were interesting, and they're all droids.
Did they remind you of any droid we know? I had one came to mind immediately, but there was no direct connection, so I didn't mention it in my reference video.
Kind of looks, the head shape looks like
Leet.
What's the
Leet L337 Lando
L3? Yeah, L3. Yeah, that's definitely.
I was
like L3,
that's right where I went too. I mean, they're definitely a Leet-esque type of headpiece, but there's no connection. So really, what I love, Jared, and for some reason this move gets me all the time in Star Wars. But when Gungi spots his saber and then uses the Force to call it to him and light it up, I couldn't help but be reminded of Luke Skywalker doing something similar in a Wampa's cave. And then my girl Rey, one of the probably the best moment for me in the sequel trilogy in TFA, when she reaches out for the Skywalker family blade just as Kylo does, and it comes to her, cue the Force theme, cue some tears from Matt. Those moments stand out to me. Anytime I watch them, I get a little soft. And I just loved Gungi doing the same thing, doing the Luke, doing the Rey. And it kind of had that same feeling. Now, I wasn't as emotionally moved because it's Gungi and we know him from like 3 episodes in Clone Wars. He's right. He's not flesh and blood like our Reys and Lukes. But anytime a Jedi or a Force user does that, it's hard not to just kind of dream and wish and be like, damn, I wish I had the Force.
Yeah, it was a great moment. Just a great, just like, because we know where Jedi are in this time, and just like, especially with him, it just felt good to see him.
Man, he's still a kid.
Strong.
Yeah, I mean, he might be a teen, pushing 15, 16. I doubt he's even in his 20s. He was captured. He's about to be. I guess it's the other thing. In your mind, who do you think the Vanguard were going to sell Gungi to? Because they mentioned a buyer.
Oh, I don't know.
And they would have known he was a Jedi because the leader had his lightsaber. So do you think they were like going to meet with Vader or like another asset? Because I don't even know if the Inquisitor program. I think it is up and running at this point in time. So
I think it would be too. But yeah, I was thinking just like the Empire or something, just because they want to exterminate Jedi and they know he's Jedi. But it also thinks too, like, why would they want him alive?
That's what I mean. So because typically when we're talking Jedi, they just kill them. Like they're Jedi. If you think about it, dead or alive doesn't work for Jedi. They should be dead. That's the best way to bring in a Jedi. So that's why I took it in my note. Like, why? Who wants to buy a Jedi Wookiee that's alive?
That is a good question. I don't know. Unless there's something special about Gungi that makes Vader or the Empire or something want him alive.
I don't know. Hey, like I said,
kind of like with Grogu, like they wanted him alive.
I talk to myself while I watch this type of stuff, so
I don't know. Maybe there's something special about Gungi.
All right, but I really love that scene and how it kind of mirrors what we've seen other Jedi heroes and heroines do. Next up, you don't get a lot of Wookiee anything in Star Wars. There's some legend stuff. Hell, there's this great RTS. It's called Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds that you actually think in the Wookiee campaign you get some good lore, but that's all legends. You don't really get any Wookiee lore in the movies. So to me, Jared, a standout moment was just when Gungi and the Bash, they find, what's her name, Yana's village. And you kind of get to see the dynamic and how Wookiees live together and their respect for the living world and how they talk to trees. It was just a great insight into Wookiee culture and how they are very much, like Native Americans or civilizations that existed before modern machineries and machinations like that. They're just very down to earth and spiritual race.
Yeah, I agree because we really don't get a lot of Wookiee on Wookiee stuff. It's usually Chewie or another Wookiee hanging out with our heroes. So yeah, I agree. That was really cool. The last time I can think of seeing Wookiee like civilization stuff was in the first KOTOR.
Yeah, like ancient shit. So again,
right,
legend stuff, not even real canon. It's just like, you had to wonder, would we have ever seen Chewbacca, hugging a tree, or did he move beyond his culture, like hanging out with a scoundrel like Han as long as he did? Do you think Chewbacca did any Wookiee rituals still while he was out being a smuggler and a scoundrel?
I don't know. Does make me wonder though. Makes me
like why not when he was on Acto with Luke? Was he like hugging a rock, or he's actually trying to eat the porgs, but then he doesn't? So does that show like his respect for the living world and nature? I don't know. I would like to see Chewbacca hugging a tree. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would like to know if Chewie did or didn't kind of get into his Wookiee spiritual side, or maybe he just wasn't into it because he spent so much time with
off world, away from family. You never know. So I did enjoy the village, even though it's mostly all going to get torn down. The drinking ritual, you gotta love that Wrecker. He's like, how can you not like Wrecker, man? He's just like that big dope, but a kind-hearted dope. Like his head's in the right spot.
Yeah, that was a great little moment too. Yeah, when they're both
Well, speaking of Wrecker, he's my next moment of note, and I don't know if anyone picked up on this, but the whole time they're fighting back against the Transdoshans, Wrecker is doing his damnedest to impersonate the Wookiee warrior call.
Yes,
like if you really pay attention, he's with the one guy the whole time, like he's going like, oh. And then the one where he jumps down, I promise I heard this, but he does the Chewbacca Tarzan that you heard in Revenge of the Sith, where Chewbacca swings over to that one of the separatist mechs coming up the beach. He's like, oh, lands on it. And I swear, Wrecker, when he jumps down onto the tank, paid homage to Chewbacca's Tarzan call. So that was a definitely a top moment for me. I kind of like the battle too, being set at night. It provides for some great contrasting visuals, right? With the laser bolts and the fire and the lightsaber.
Yeah, the animation is it's so cool to see how good it has come, especially like because I started a Clone Wars rewatch like a few months ago, and it's night and day.
Oh yeah, I mean,
how far the animation has come.
Season one, the movie, it looks like it's a whole different property at this point.
Yeah, the movie just looks rough compared to where we are now.
Yeah, Tones is right. I mean, Chewie does that shit in Return of the Jedi when he takes over the Chicken Walker. Right, he
that's when he does.
Yeah,
all
right,
Tarzans.
yeah, man. But and of all the Clone Force 99, Wrecker obviously is the best to channel his inner Wookiee, because he essentially is a hairless Wookiee. Let's be real. He just doesn't speak Shriwook or whatever it's called. Right. But yeah, I mean, I think, Jared, some of the best visuals, some of the best moments in the episode when Gungi and Venomer, or whatever the hell his name, had their little duel. Then you had that circle of fire and Gungi jumping up in really trees cool. and getting down and kind of dueling them out. That was pretty legit. Gungi definitely looks like he's learned a few things on the lam. I mean, we don't really know how he got away.
Gungi's a beast,
but yeah, he looks like he can carry himself.
Yeah, he's a beast. I'm curious if that's kind of where Gungi will dwell as a Jedi.
Yeah, let's get into that. Do you think there's any callback to this episode down the road this season? Case in point, do we get anything like where we've seen in The Mandalorian, where throughout a season he goes through and meets people, and then towards the end, some of the people he met, like a Cara Dune or a Migs Mayfeld, they're now assisting him. Do we get any sort of callback to Gungi, or was that truly just a one-stop check-in? Hey, we know he's a fan favorite. Here he is. We've kind of given you some closure. He's with the Wookiees now. Back to the Bad Batch. Or do you see towards the end like any of the people the Bad Batch run into in this season coming to assist them?
I mean, I think that would be really cool if somehow Gungi comes and helps them out later. I don't think so.
Yeah, me
though.
neither.
I don't think they will.
You don't really get those through lines in the animated Star Wars. You just don't.
Yeah, not so much.
I mean,
it would be cool, but I don't think so.
We just like TCW, we're going to get some mini arcs, like 1 or 2 episodes, but I really don't think we're going to have through lines like that. You're going to have overarching narratives like Tech and we need to fight the Empire and Omega. Did I ruin their lives because they needed to save me? And then obviously Crosshair, what the fuck am I doing? You have all that type of stuff. That's all going to be overarching. But in terms of like the batch themselves having a direct through line and going through shit, and like I said, they're more of a vehicle to show us what's happening versus what's happening to them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, did I miss? Is there any standout moments to you that we didn't talk about? All right.
No. Yeah, I think you got them.
Let's get into the nerdy stuff then. So, unlike episode 5, there were some, dare I say, Easter eggs. There were definitely some references, but
definitely were
a ton of canceled Clone Wars. That's what we got in this episode. So, like I said earlier, if you were at Celebration 2015 in Anaheim, that was before a lot of this shit, before you knew the Clone Wars was going to get a final season, before Disney even had Disney Plus and thought about doing Star Wars TV. They, Filoni at a panel aired canceled Clone Wars footage. It was still in like previs format. He did this before also with, was it Rebels potentially, or no, Clone Wars with Boba Fett versus Cad Bane, like that whole duel. Right. Same thing, Jared. So we're talking the same deal. So this episode, for all intents and purposes, is a full-on canceled Clone Wars arc. Clone Force 99 was going to be in it. Kashyyyk was going to be involved. Yoda was going to be in the episode. So they did change some things. But for all intents and purposes, this is a fully repurposed, canceled Clone Wars episode. They called it an arc, so it might have been multiple episodes, and they just kind of turned it into one. So that right there, in and of itself, is a big Easter egg, if you will.
Yeah, which is awesome.
The other,
it's really cool.
Yeah, the other stuff that we got here. Let me look at my notes here. We got the reskin TCW. Okay. Obviously, like Rachel pointed out earlier in the live stream chat, Gunji himself is a reference to the Clone Wars, right? Some people get mad at me when I do stuff like that, but it is a reference, okay? So just get over it.
It definitely is. Yeah, he's a cameo, basically. That's an Easter egg.
He was just in that one arc where they go to forge their lightsabers, right? It was a long arc, but he didn't really get much play outside of that, did he?
I thought I remembered him also on there's like an episode where there's a bunch of younglings. I don't think Ahsoka's there. A bunch of younglings, and they're like trying to escape some like prisoner planet or something. And
it might still be a part of the arc I'm thinking about.
With where they get the
because they actually do, where they go in to try and forge their lightsabers, but then shit gets fucked up where Yoda ggets separated from them. And I think Ahsoka and maybe Barriss are with them, and they have to escape or get away from shit. Yeah,
I definitely remember. Yeah, maybe it's the same arc, but I do remember something like that happening.
So I mean, obviously he's a reference, but it wasn't like a shock. It's kind of disappointing that they included his scenes in the trailers and the promo for the series, because I think if they would not have done that, this episode would have popped for people.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been huge.
It definitely would have popped. Like damn, it's Gunji. But hey, we knew it was coming, so it didn't hit as hard. But I loved his reintroduction. His little bond with Omega was fun to watch. Them at the end sitting there kind of praying to the trees and hearing their elders kind of lament the fact that these two now have to live in a fucked up galaxy because of shit their generation and their people in charge did to it. All right, another reference or egg here are the Kinrath themselves, and they go all the way back to KOTOR. Jared, I don't remember those like the spidery looking things, but those go back from KOTOR, and they were also going to be heavily featured in that canceled Clone Wars arc. All right, moving right along here with the good stuff. As Jared said earlier, you finally get to see the what the Transdoshans were doing to the Wookiees. They were enslaving them for the Empire, and their pelts. Like and we got that in Book of Boba Fett. Like, hey, pelt Wookiee, the guys are wearing Wookiee pelts, and Black K wasn't a big fan of that type of stuff. But that's what they did. I mean, the Empire essentially hired them out because they didn't want to deal with the Wookiees. They also knew, like, hey, the Wookiees can rip off their body parts and they'll eventually grow back, so it's okay. Let's use these lizard dudes. But yeah, they used them to be slavers for Wookiees.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite parts of the episode, just being able to
finally
see that.
Yeah, finally get it.
Hear about it, now here it is.
Because this is another deal, and if Tones is listening, I think he can confirm it. But in that same RTS I'm talking about, and by RTS, it's like, it was, think Age of Empires, but Star Wars. It was beautiful. It was called Galactic Battlegrounds. It drives me nuts that, like, I own it in Steam, but it doesn't play on any modern platform. It was aces. But, Jared, it had a full arc on what was happening on Kashyyyk and how the Empire was using the Transdoshans. So this is, like, it's been in legends for many a decade. And I think the comics probably recanonize it, but it's always good for us people that don't like to read to get the moving images to reinforce it. So
yes.
And even this dude himself, Commander Venomar, he was also going to be the big bad in the Clone Wars arc. So, like I said,
cool.
They didn't fuck around. Filoni told Corbett and Ra, like, listen, we did most of this shit. Just reskin it, make it look modern. We'll call it Bad Batch.
Cool.
And we already talked about the Wookiee roar from our boy Wrecker. So there you go. That is the Bad Batch S2E6 Tribe SWTS Deep Dive Breakdown with special guest. Did I miss anything? Anything that you picked up on that I let slip? Do I need to go punish myself after the show?
No.
Okay.
I think you did great. No, those the big moments were that with just Kashyyyk, Wookiees.
So
we got it all.
Let's, as Nick and I usually do at this point in time, although I think we forgot last week, and it's hard to predict animated Star Wars, but knowing that we're going into a 2-episode block, so there you go, right? And just in case you forgot, tomorrow we're getting a double dropper, episodes 7 and 8, which is going to take us to mid-season. And Jared and I ran the titles by him earlier today, and I think they kind of allude to the fact that we're going to get some meat thrown at us tomorrow. The narrative meat that I think a lot of people have been yearning for since episode 3. So here we go. The 2 episodes debuting tomorrow, February 8, or whenever you're listening, are going to be The Clone Conspiracy. Okay. That sounds a little juicy. That sounds a little galaxy overarching-esque. And then the follow-up is going to be Truth and Consequences. So, let's put on our little speculation caps and start with Clone Conspiracy. You first.
Clone Conspiracy.
Go for glory. Go for the gold.
Is it a conspiracy about clones, or is it a conspiracy that clones are kind of
themselves
thinking
right
about?
Exactly.
So I don't know. I'm hoping it's probably something with Rex, and I really hope it's something with Cody, because I really want to see what happens to Cody in this season. So it could. I know that could potentially be it, but the other one, Truth and Consequences, definitely sounds like Crosshair.
I agree with you on like the broad strokes for sure. So back to Clone Conspiracy, I went to the same place. Is it the galaxy thinking there's a conspiracy going on with the clones? Or is it, as you said, the clones themselves starting to conspire on something? And I'm honestly, Jared, I'm leaning towards the latter, because as we've heard in previous episodes, especially that fantastic episode 3 from Rampart, AWOL clones, desertion, it's a big problem. Cody himself deserted at the end of that episode. So you would think at this point in time, clones are probably talking about this stuff. Like, hey, fucking CT yada 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 just disappeared. That makes 100 this week. what's the conspiracy, or what do we not know that they know? And then they learn, like, hey, we're all going here, we're doing this, this is bad shit. We've heard Rampart, he's going to nuke us all once he fills out the TK units a bit more. So that's where I'm kind of going with clone conspiracy. That it's going to be, within the ranks, the clones are going to start really questioning their use and their purpose.
Yeah, and then maybe that's ultimately what leads to them being completely trashed and 100% to conscripted, or however they do it.
Yeah, because I've talked with Nick. Is like I think, especially for clone bros out there, I think you're going to be in for some heartache. Not because they're not really going to be the name clones, but I could totally see the Empire send them to a mission and glassing the motherfucker. Like just blowing. They can't blow planets up yet because we know the no moon base is up there still being constructed. But they could definitely land some clones down there and orbital bombard the living shit out of them. So, and if you think about, these are going to dovetail. I mean, they're not doing back-to-back episodes just for fun. It's probably going to be just like 1 and 2, where, episode 7 is going to cliffhang, and then thankfully we get to go right into Truth and Consequences. So if we go with the fact that the clones are conspiring, and that kind of plays out in that episode, Truth and Consequences, kind of like you were thinking, and Consequences even goes back to episode 3 and what Cody told Crosshair. I think Crosshair will be presented with another very clear fork in the road, and he's going to make another bad choice. And he will live with those consequences yet again. And that could be being even further persecuted by Rampart, or potentially hunted down himself, even though he is still trying to follow orders.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's too early for him to make the good choice. I think it's too early for that to happen. I think if it does, it'll be, I don't know, at the end of this season, or if there is another season, and that's when he's going to be making like the ultimate sacrifice.
I know everyone's like, "Oh, it's lame. It's so obvious," but I think that's where it's going to go. I would be shocked if they did not have a redemption arc for Crosshair. Not so much that, oh yeah, he's a good guy and he's fighting for the forces of good again. It's on his dying breath, like Vader, essentially, he's redeemed but is dead. He dies in redemption.
Yeah. I think that's got to happen. And I hope it does, just because that would, in my head, that would make the most sense to me, for him to be ultimately redeemed.
Yeah, I do think he's going to be redeemed, but he's not going to become a hero. He will die through his redemption somehow. And I really think it's going to be to save Omega, as they all kind of perish. I mean, how wild would it be? How wild would it be if, whenever this show is wrapped, that it's Crosshair that ultimately saves Omega because all the other brothers have died trying to do the same?
That sounds so tragic. Like, I'm just thinking about that now, and I'm just like,
that. I think that'd be a redemption that some people that don't want him to redeem might be able to buy into. But I don't know. Just with the title of these episodes tomorrow, man, I really feel like we're gonna get some eye-opening insights into the clones, the ranks, how they're thinking, and just how kind of pervasive this thought of going AWOL has become within the clones. And I don't know if Truth and Consequences goes fully into like an uprising or dealing with an uprising, but I do think our boy Crosshair is going to make another bad choice because he thinks it's a good order to follow. But again, he's going to have to live with the consequence of that choice, even though he knows the truth. How's that?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I also think just the fact that we're getting 2 episodes makes me feel like it's an arc between the 2, 100%. And it's going to be good.
100%.
It's going to be. That's why they're giving them both to us at the same time, is because it's good.
That's what I'm telling everyone. Brace. Tones is in here. He's ready for things to pick up. I think in general, some fans kind of want to get back to the overarching action. I'm telling you, it's going to happen here. They're not doing a 2-banger with these episode titles without these being major moments in this season. I mean, it is the halfway point. Truth and Consequences will be the halfway mark, and usually once you get halfway into a season, you start tumbling towards the climax. So
Yeah, I can't wait.
I honestly, dude, I think the second half of the season is really going to pick up, and you'll probably still get maybe one or two self-contained, as we like to call over here.
Yeah,
but I think
so too.
Once we get to 9 through 16, it's going to be bam, 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 bam. Like here, look at the shit that's happening in the galaxy through the lens of the Bad Batch.
Cool. I can't wait. I'm enjoying it a lot so far. So I'm pumped. Yeah,
I mean, I dig it. It's light fare for the most part. It's enjoyable to watch. I don't get as emotionally involved as I will when The Mandalorian airs. Like I'm super excited for Mando to debut on March 1. There's no doubt about it. I probably will wake up close to 3 a.m. just from like that
Me too.
Santa Claus excitement.
Yeah, Mando has become my number one favorite Star Wars property. And it's kick-ass. I cannot wait for
it's kick-ass. I mean, it cheats. It relies a little bit too much on the nostalgia, but it has enough.
It's fine with me.
It has enough new, and it's working towards some explainers for the sequels. I'm like, fine, I dig it. And Pedro Pascal, even if it's just his voice, that's all I need. That's all I need.
Right.
And Grogu. Let's be real.
And Grogu.
I mean, I know some people are sick of the little fucker, but Jared, we're watching that last week, like the Jesus scene and all that. I immediately came downstairs, opened up my glass shelf, and pulled out my 1-to-1 Hot Toys Grogu. And he now is sitting upstairs watching The Mandalorian with us, and he will stay there until we're done with the Book of Boba Fett. So,
well, I mean, you might as well leave him there because season 3 is going to start.
Yeah, he'll probably be there until May or June or July, something like that.
There you go.
When I finally feel like putting it away with all my other toys that get strung out. Yeah, but that was just
table.
That's the only 1-to-1 I own, and it's perfect. I really do think the Hot Toys Grogu, he's got some ear joints you can see a little bit, but he is just.
I wish I'd
a beauty.
Him up. I know he's still in stock on Sideshow.
Yeah, he didn't sell a lot. Like Sideshow had their own version, and he looked good too, but he doesn't move. Like there's no posing, and he's just looking up. Like the Hot Toys one, he's got different hands, he's got different ears, you can move his mouth up and down. So, and I'm always like, as much as I hate their new head and neck system, to me, Hot Toys is heads and tails above Sideshow figures.
Yeah. It's I wouldn't say it's even.
It's not even like some Sideshow shit looks janked as fuck. Although I did, you know what? And this is what I get from watching and getting nostalgia. Don't watch Star Wars on Friday nights with your young family members after you've had a few beers. Because I was watching it was like it's Tales of the Jedi, and the Ahsoka stuff comes in, and for some reason I'm like, fuck, I love the Clone Wars. I forgot how much I love this. I need to honor my love of it by spending money. So I go right to Sideshow, buy the entire Sideshow line of 1/6 scale Clone Wars figures.
Oh.
The Anakin that people made fun of, the Obi-Wan that people made fun of. I pre-ordered the Ahsoka, pre-ordered the Yoda. I think the only one I'm not going to dive on is the Grievous. But just right there, I'm like, I have no...
I don't remember a Grievous.
I never rest on my laurels. I always talk a big game. I'm like, I'm not going to get Sideshow 1/6 scale. It sucks. Those Clone Wars ones don't look that good. And sure shit, they're sitting in my shelves right now. And they do look good in person. I'm not going to fucking lie. They look good.
Yeah. I've seen the product plus product photos and the in-hand photos. And there's a difference, but it still looks good.
No, they look good. Their joints blow, though. Like they're like marionette type of joints, man. Like, like they want to crumble immediately when you try to get them to stand up.
Really? Oh,
not good. But hey, Sideshow. Like I said, Sideshow. Hey, have you gotten approached by Nin Game? Or probably because your IG is decimated at this point. Probably not.
No.
Well, let's just say, like, we'll see where this goes, but I'm supposedly working with a Nin Game brand ambassador, and we might have a cool giveaway coming up on Instagram at Star Wars Time Show. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it may be the Book of Boba Fett SH Figure Arts Throne set that a lot of people are getting in hand right now.
Are they like a toy store?
I've actually used Nin Game. When I bought a lot of figure arts, that's where I would go there or Ami Ami. because they're Japanese, so you can get them directly from there, and usually it's cheaper to buy from Japanese than like a big bad toy store.
Yeah, that's what I usually do too. I never heard of Nin Game though.
They're not bad. Like Ami Ami was probably my favorite, but Nin Game definitely gets like those online exclusive figure arts that you can't get at Ami Ami. So yeah, Nin Game. So we'll see. I've been burned a few times, even prior to Star Wars when I was in gaming media working with, PR people. So we'll see. Once I get the details and if I feel like it's legit, hopefully we'll talk about more next week. But
sweet, I'm going to enter.
Yeah, there you go. You'll probably be the only one, so you have a good chance to win. Rachel, how many episodes are there this season? Bad Batch is getting 16, just like season 1. I believe it wraps March 29 with another 2-episode drop. So the finale will be a 2-episode arc. And you'll have Mando to watch that day. That's the other bonus.
Man.
There's so much Star Wars, man. Move it back to Friday. It's just like Wednesday, hump day. I know some people like hump day because they're like, well, it's like, it's almost like a Friday in the week. I don't get that logic. To me, Wednesday, you still got 2 fucking days to go. Friday, you get to Friday, you're like, hey, I got to put in some hours, but then it's Friday night, happy hour maybe, the weekend, Saturday, best day of the week, Sunday, okay, and then it sucks at night because Monday's coming back, but it's hard to get excited on a Wednesday.
Star Wars Day,
yeah,
it does quickly become one of the better days.
You are
one
right.
of the best.
You are right. It just my Wednesdays for the most part are about 4 a.m. to about midnight. Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So
that's rough.
But that's a me problem. I don't need to be doing what I'm doing. All right. If I was a Jared and I had 40,000 people and when I put out a video, most of those people would watch it. Sure. I put out a video, I might get 10 people to watch it. What was this last one? Like my full breakdown or my review of Bad Batch, I think it got 90 views. Like
so far.
Why am I killing myself for this, man? Like, can you snap me out of this? Like, can you be like, bro, just give it up. Just worry about the podcast that no one listens to. Who cares about content creation, breakdowns, and your opinions? Just let it go. It's not going to happen.
There are a few people within that 90 people, including myself, that will look forward and tune into those, even if it just.
I appreciate it. I do. I need like 90 times 90 times 90 more of those to satiate this thirsty ego of mine. All right, I'm open about it. It's a fucking ego problem. I want people to say, you know what? You do know something about this fake ass science fiction property, and I respect you for it. See?
They will.
Sometimes you get a little Dr. Phil on the Star Wars Time Show. You never know. I am a man that believes in talking about my feelings and emotions. So
that's good.
Call me woke or whatever you want. That's how I operate.
That is good.
I actually had some thoughts on this Hogwarts Legacy controversy, and I don't want to get into it. So let's just say this. I on this show, if you're a longtime fan, you could definitely accuse me of sometimes railing on the far right and some of the stuff they get into. Hogwarts Legacy, dare I say, I think this is an example of the far left getting a bit out of bounds on the controversy. I'm not going to go much more into it because it's a touchy subject for some people, and I'm not trying to get canceled. But just look it up. Look up Hogwarts Legacy review controversy, and you'll kind of be taken down the path. So
I'm sure if you go on Twitter, you'll find.
Oh my God, dude! There's people that are streaming it that are getting essentially swatted by the community because they're streaming Hogwarts Legacy. And again, without getting into it, here's the overarching deal. There are gaming sites out there, gaming journalists that are putting up a big stink about Hogwarts Legacy because it's Harry Potter IP, which means J.K. Rowling, who has some pretty shitty opinions, benefits from. So they're on a crusade to essentially sink the game to not give J.K. any more money. But I'm someone thinking like, what about those poor motherfuckers that spent 3 or 4 years developing this game?
Hundreds and probably in the thousands.
Working 80 to 100 hours a week, killing themselves to make it, dumping their everything into it. And now you have the media trying to sink it on in my opinion, a virtue signal. And I'm someone that, listen, I'm for everyone loving whoever they want to love, doing whatever they want to do to make themselves feel like themselves, okay? But I'm not a fan of killing people's livelihood based on a social subject that you have an agenda with. I don't know. It's just I find it very odd to see the attacks going on with Hogwarts Legacy. Like I get it. We don't want JK to get more money or more exposure, but the Harry Potter franchise is not going away. Like, the books are out there, the movies are out there. Why are we zeroing in on this game to kill these poor fucking developers that sacrifice themselves?
It's bigger than just her.
Yeah,
it's bigger than just her at this point.
I don't know. I just have to disagree with the far left's movement on this. And sadly, I think this is why the left gets a bad rap. Like, oh, you guys worry about this type of stuff. No, listen, I understand the trans people, why they don't like JK. They shouldn't. But the studio, they made the game as inclusive as possible. I mean, you can play a transgender character in Hogwarts Legacy. You know what I mean? You really can. And so why are they getting penalized for JK? I'm going to leave it at that because I probably already said too much. And depending on which side of the fence you're on, I probably blow. So I'll just keep going. Like, you really can't speak opinions anymore, even if you do add some factual insights behind them. So we'll leave it at that. But if you want to go down the rabbit hole, do a Google search, Hogwarts Legacy review controversy. Or there's a lot of them, a lot of journalists, like, we can't even review Hogwarts Legacy on merit because of JK. It's like, it's a game. Is it a good game or not a good game? You won't even do that? All right. Okay. Moving on back to Star Wars. And honestly, a bit of a sad note for me, Jared. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Linda. Like I said, I'm an open book. I think without speaking my views, everyone kind of knows where I live. It's not that hard. I believe in real life. Okay. So I don't know if you saw this, Jared, but this news story popped last week, and it's got me a bit bummed out for The Mandalorian Season 3. And that's the fact that Ludwig Göransson is not doing the full fucking score for The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I didn't even see this until you sent it to me earlier, and that is kind of
so what's happening here? I mean, it's not a complete loss. The person taking on the responsibilities is Joseph Shirley, who actually collaborated with Ludwig on the Book of Boba Fett. If you remember the Book of Boba Fett, Ludwig only did the theme, which, let's be real, it's a fucking banger, just like the Mandalorian theme.
So good.
Awesome. Like, both of those theme songs, and I hate to say this because Williams made Kenobi's, they made Kenobi's theme song look silly. Okay? Silly.
I will blast those in the car.
Yes! Dude, my daughter and I it's like our fucking hype music sometimes. We'll throw on the Mandalorian, the hype out, and then she'll be like, Boba Fett. Like, that's the best one when they actually sing. Do you know the version I'm talking about? It was at the end of the finale where they they go like, Boba Fett. I love that. So So we've gotten this combo before where Ludwig will do the theme, but then Shirley scores the season. I mean, he actually is doing the composition. But if you look back to Book of Boba Fett, I never felt like its score stood out or really enhanced any of the moments. Where going through my Mandalorian rewatch, Ludwig composed season 1 and 2 in full. Theme song and the episode music. And to me, in my ears, it is a noticeable difference. Like, Ludwig has such a defined style. And his style, in my opinion, Jared, is now attached to The Mandalorian, because that's where most of us became exposed to Ludwig and his style of music. And it is a very unique style he presents. I mean, just listen to what he did on the first Black Panther. I mean, he did that too. I mean, the guy is a talent. He's got a very unique ear, in my opinion. So I'm a bit concerned that some of the moments in Mando season 3 might not pop because we're not going to have that very iconic Ludwig sound behind it. What do you think?
There are a couple other, at least one other, like, theme that I can think of off the top of my head from the Book of Boba Fett. So that, which I do like. So what I'm hoping is this guy has collaborated and worked with Ludwig in the past, and
Totally.
it was with the Mandalorian, so he understands the feel and the overall whatever for the way the score was made in the last 2 seasons, and hopefully he'll be able to take that and use it and still bring that same feeling that Ludwig would have whatever brought. So I don't know. I'm thinking that, you know, since he's worked with him so much, he'll still be able to bring something in and make it still something recognizable and great for season 3.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we need topics to talk about, so I am making a mountain out of a molehill. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Joseph Shirley is no scrub, and I'm sure it's going to be fine. But I wonder if Mando season 3 ultimately feels a bit different because of Ludwig not being involved in the actual episode scores, and just kind of, obviously they're going to roll his theme song. I mean, that would be an egregious move if they change the Mandalorian theme song. Like you can't do that, right? You can't touch that song.
No way, and I'm sure it won't be, because that's such a, it's iconic at this point. And they go hand in hand. They're in tangent with each other, Mando and his theme,
right.
And they use that in the Book of Boba Fett too, to kind of like say, "Hey, Mando's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Let us play it."
Yeah, do. So, yeah, they play the little whistle or whatever it is.
So I don't think that's going away. And I think who knows? Maybe this guy, I can't remember his name. Maybe he'll impress us and it'll be really great. But I think a lot of the real spirit of the score from the other Mando seasons will be there. I think he knows.
I hope so, because I like you. I do feel Ludwig achieved a John Williams feat in that he was able to get Star Wars fans kind of like Pavlov's dogs to, as soon as they hear that theme, they'll either start humming it, singing it, performing to it. Like I like, for some reason my arms just start go up and down, you know, like I'm at a rave. I'm doing the
gaffy stick.
Yeah, the Jersey Shore. No, I'm doing like the Jersey Shore, like the fists in the air, like the do, like I'm punching someone above me. You know, and it's similar to a lot of the themes Williams created. I mean, the opening crawl, all of us will immediately pop up and be like, okay, where's the yellow words? Or the Force theme. Some of us may start crying immediately, like myself, or Luke's theme, Leia's theme, Yoda's theme. I mean, I am not a musical, but I could hum every one of those fucking themes to you without needing to re-listen to it. And Ludwig, in just you know, two properties, has achieved that with The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett.
And that one episode of the thing they put on Disney Plus, the documentary thingy about Mando, what's it called?
It's not Behind the Magic, but
one of those things.
Stuff.
But the one episode about him, about Ludwig and him, and that was so cool. And I remember being so impressed.
Yeah, dude, he's
like,
one of these people.
Awesome.
Like he's got the umlaut on his name. I mean, anyone that has an umlaut in their name, they're automatically fucking cool. Like 2 dots over an O or a U. Like, come on, that's fucking rad. His name's Ludwig, and he just seems like he's almost from a different planet. You know, like to me, I see him sitting in like a yurt, and that's where he composes. Like that's where he makes his music. Like he's just in a yurt somewhere with not a lot of amenities, just his tech that he needs, you know, maybe some medical marijuana or some mushrooms,
definitely.
And just having himself a time. It just, I don't know. We'll find out March 1. We should get Ludwig's theme, and then we'll see if Mr. Shirley can kind of pick up the slack with the actual score for the episodes, because it will matter. I mean, to me, music in Star Wars probably goes hand in hand more than any other property. And by hand in hand, I mean music enhances Star Wars more than I think music enhances other properties.
Yeah, you're so 1,000,000% right.
You know, I mean, can you think of any other mega franchise where you're like, oh yeah, their music is memorable? I mean, the only one I can think of is like the Avengers theme song, and that's about it.
Yeah, you could play Star Wars music to anybody, not anybody, but 9 out of 10, 99 out of 100 people in the whole world, and they will know, oh, that's Star Wars. Yeah. Like, it's just like, it's iconic.
So good for Ludwig achieving that status already. Hopefully he'll come back and not leave for good. I mean, to me, he should score the theme for every fucking show at this point in time. I'll give you Andor. That was a pretty fine opening theme, especially the way he would slightly tweak it every episode to kind of fit the episode's tone and sound of its music.
Yeah, it was good.
That guy
didn't stick with me as much though.
Yeah, that guy's up there too. I forget his name, so clearly he wasn't that impactful. Yeah, the Sabersmith Bad Batch music is good. Kevin Kiner he's no joke. Kevin Kiner is the composer for Bad Batch, and he's done a great job. Last week we talked about some of the best parts about the adventure episode were those very Indiana Jones-esque musical themes that Kiner weaved in. So I agree. Episode 3, fantastic score from Kiner in that the Cody and Crosshair episode. Great stuff there. Harry Potter, I agree. Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings. Bing, bang, boom. He's right. Connor's
almost all John Williams too.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Jaws, James Bond. Yep. Yeah, good stuff. All right. Thank you to the Peanut Gallery as always. Okay, for those of you, Jared, they're going to fly you out. I've always found this funny that you work with European brands that we have in America, but the American wings, right? Because you do Funko and Hasbro stuff for European Funko, not for American Funko.
It's directly with the one that when I work with those, it's directly with a UK Disney branch. So I'm never directly working with Funko or Lego or
Which is
any of them.
Absolutely wild, because I know other people that had smaller followings than you and weren't as engaged with the community that were getting ops to work with US Hasbro. The fact that you're not on that Hasbro box list fucking blows my mind. Blows my mind. Right. I mean, good for Work More or Less, good for Black Series and Plastic Action and and Swip Picks, but they're all great. You are like the ambassador for toy photography, though. I mean, you are in it every day trying to teach, expose. You know what I mean? I'm being serious. Anyone here that follows you, they know what I'm talking about. Where those guys, the early guys, some of them, they're doing it professionally now. Like Black Series, he does shit for the Ducks, Anaheim Ducks. Plastic Action's doing stuff for Microsoft.
So cool.
But Work More or Less, he's kind of like me. He posts when he can, and he's posting gems. He had that Pepper's Ghost thing with the turtles was great. But I feel like the way you are constantly interacting with the community, which you would think a brand ambassador is, that Hasbro would be like, hey, this dude that's got 70 or 80,000 IG, who knows how many Facebook, who knows how many YouTube, maybe we should start sending him the box because he's going to fucking take everyone, open them, and do cool shit with them. But it never happened, huh?
No, but I always thought it was just they got their guys that they got, right, and that they know and trust and have been doing a great job. And they got their guys. Yeah. And that's what I just.
Right. Hey, dude, if I ever ran a toy company, I would go to someone like you. And listen, I'm not talking shit on those guys. They're all my heroes too. I learned a lot from all of them. Never. Same. But Jared really dove into the community side of this and has been a voice since day one. And you would think that's who you want hawking your goods. Is all I'm saying. So there's a reason for this. We got the next lineup of celebrities headed to Star Wars Celebration, which is over in Europe, in London. Are you attending this? Do you think they're gonna fly you out?
No, I've never been to Star Wars Celebration. I would love to go.
You get your contact to hook you up over in the UK, bring you over.
Maybe I'll send a quick email. Yeah. That would be so cool. But I doubt it.
So
but I've always wanted to go.
We've been you have to go once, but I think people have never been. You've probably built it up to something in your head that will never live up to what it really is.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'll be interested to see what Tone says when he reports back later this spring, because I believe he's going to his first, and he's taking his sons, and he's already starting to see some of the shittier sides of Celebration, like how expensive autographs are, how many queues you're going to be waiting in, just lotteries, and will you even get to see any panels? So I'll be interested to see what he says, because listen, I've been to a bunch of them. I went to the second one ever, and it's turned into a machine. I mean, it's a monster. And if you're not winning lotteries for panels, you're basically just going to the show floor every day, and the show floor gets old within about 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah. There's only so many toy vendors you can look at and be like, yeah, I saw you on Friday, and there you are again Saturday, and there you are again Sunday and Monday. It's like, okay, hey, I saw that cosplay yesterday. It looked great then, but I've seen it. You know what I mean? So I'm a negative person by default, so don't listen to me. Maybe
in 2024 they'll do it in New York, and then I can just drive on over.
That would be nice. My favorite is still Celebration 2 in Indianapolis. That's where they did like the first 2 or 3. And then I'd say next would be Chicago, but the only reason Chicago sucks because they held it there in the spring in Chicago, so it was like fucking snowing. And trying to walk to the events or even catch trains,
that rough.
That blew big time. All right, so some of the latest round of celebrities making their way to Celebration to hopefully convince you to spend a ton of money to get their autographed are going to be Gwendolyn Christie. Okay, so right. Brienne of Tarth, a.k.a. Awesome. Captain Phasma. Everyone's favorite Eunice.
I met him once.
Is that how you say his name? Is it Eunice or
Eunice?
Yeah, Eunice. Yeah. Eunice Sutomo or Tamo, a.k.a. Chewbacca or any other tall character in that Lucasfilm needs. And Ming-Na Wen, Fennec Shan herself.
She seems awesome.
I would love to meet her. A, she's born and raised in Pittsburgh, just like me. B, she's a fucking Star Wars dork like us. And C, she looks like she's 30, and I think she's in her 50s. And B, she just seems like she'd be a cool person to talk to and not treat us like we're peons. All right.
Yeah, she seems great.
So some other guests, and one, I will say, has been a guest of the Star Wars Time Show. So how's that? We get the Star Wars Time Show also gets Celebration guests. But we got Aiden Cook, who played Dr. Quadpaw in Andor. Two Tubes, everyone's favorite secondary character in Andor and Rogue One. And Baba Joe in The Force Awakens, and Bulio in Rise of Skywalker. So a character actor. And then the one I just teased, our buddy, friend of the show, Mr. Silas Carson, a.k.a. Ki-Adi-Mundi and Newt Gunray.
So cool.
I was happy to see that,
awesome.
man. I was like, sweet, Silas is getting out, because when we talked to him, I think we talked to him way back in either 2020 or 2021. He was our first like legitimate worked on Star Wars guest. So I mean, I was nervous. But I think it turned out great. Make sure to check it out in our catalog. It's up there on YouTube somewhere. It'll be in our live section more than likely, or in our uploads. But he was just he was a great guy to talk to. He was open. You know, he talked about his career, what led him to Star Wars, what his experience on Star Wars. So I'm glad that he's cashing in, because people like Silas, like you need to do this. Like this is how you benefit from playing a side role in Star Wars the rest of your life. I mean, these people, I'm not kidding, man. They can tour cons and make 6 figures plus.
Really?
Dude,
that's
sometimes
crazy.
their parents' fees are 5 figures just to show up. Like, maybe not Silas, but like a Katie Sackhoff or Ming-Na Wen. Like, hey, just to sit for autographs, $20,000. Okay, all right, I'll do that for 4 hours and talk to these.
That's awesome. I was curious about, like, how well do these people actually do doing this?
Dude, there's a reason you see a lot of old Star Trek actors, a lot of, some of the Imperial officers from Star Wars. There's a reason you're going to see them at every fucking con on the planet, because you make dough. I mean, the Shatners of the world, I think that they can charge like $100 an autograph. So on top of appearance fees. So I'm glad he Silas is out there. And then finally, Matthew Wood, who's he's done all sorts of shit with Lucasfilm. He used to be a sound guy. Then he got into doing Grievous's voice because one day George was like, hey, what would he sound like? And Matt just happened to be there. And, he's played multiple voice roles since then. And most recently, he was Bib Fortuna in the Mandalorian's Stinger when Boba Fett shows up and gats him.
Right.
So there you go. 6 new people that they're already joining the likes of Hayden, Katie, James Arnold Taylor, Mads Mikkelsen, Dennis Lawson, Anthony Daniels, Ashley Eckstein, Matt Lanter, D. Bradley Baker, Giancarlo Esposito, Vivian Learbear, and Indira Varma. Like, good for Vivian. The fact that she's out, she's making movies, and she's touring the cons. Like, this kid's going to have multi-mills before she's like 13 years old.
You go, Vivian. You go.
The thing is, I hope she can make the jump, or that she makes enough and she feels satisfied that she just invests her money well and lives out her life the way she wants to.
Yeah, me too.
But it's very rare that someone, even with her skills as good as she is, that they make that
Continues.
jump. It doesn't happen. Real quick before we move on, Giancarlo Esposito. Have you watched Kaleidoscope on Netflix?
No, but I have seen it on there and been like, interesting.
It's excellent. Yeah? It's excellent. It's kind of like a Choose Your Own Order series where as long as you start at the black episode, it'll kind of spit you out randomly into one of the middle episodes. Like, apparently the only rule is you have to start at black and you end at white. But in between that, you can watch the episodes in any order. And the reason I'm talking about that is because Giancarlo is the star, and once again, the dude, he's a chameleon. Like
he is so
he's
good.
Just such a great actor, and I didn't even know he existed until I saw him as Gus in Breaking Bad, and that's when I realized, like, holy shit, I love this guy. And then he got like a role in like a big NBC show that made it 1 or 2 years. It was like about an apocalypse and no energy or something, and obviously he showed up again in Better Call Saul, and they fleshed out Gus even more. And then naturally he made his way to Star Wars, but the guy, it's like anything he's in is just great. And I don't know if it's Giancarlo or he just knows how to pick the right projects. You know what I mean? Like, is it him?
I'm sure it's both.
Or is he and his people just good at choosing projects?
I'm sure. Yeah. And he's great in The Boys too. Like,
another one. See, I mean, he's the dude.
Yeah, he's become even more interesting in the most recent season of The Boys.
And you heard it here first. I think Moff Gideon will probably have some of the more interesting non-Mandalorian narrative stuff in season 3. Because
I agree.
He's been teasing us that Moff he's got plans, and it sounds like even being incarcerated may have been a part of them, and that he's trying to get all these other power players out there to listen to him and his plan and his idea on how to return the Empire to glory. So I think he's going to be playing a pretty big role, and it's just going to enhance season 3 of Mando with him being in as many scenes as possible. Yeah, I'm with The Empire Strikes Again 100%. They said, just like Pedro, pretty much everything they're in is gold.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's so true.
Digging it. These Latin men. They got something in their system. They're just damn good. All right, dude. Apparently. Well, this takes us, I believe, to the SWTS fan segment. That's right.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's that time of the episode to dedicate some love from us to our fans. So the way this works, we have a two-pronged affair to get into. We have the question of the week responses, which we post every Tuesday, or as close to that day as we can get, on Instagram at Star Wars Time Show. We'll put it in our stories, and then we'll put the prompt in our profile. Your job is to hopefully allow IG to show it to you, and then to respond. And it's rough because, Jared, you know this very well. You're on IG. And at one time, you had that mega following before some fuck faces screwed you over. If we ever find them, I'll make sure to choke them out for you.
That'd be great.
Or at least put my thumb through their eyes. But, like sometimes you'd send out a post and the engagement is just vomit. we're not huge. We got 15,000. But the question of the week, I looked at the insights. It went to 500 of our 15,000 followers. 500 people saw it. Yeah. So if you want to see the question of the week, sometimes you may have to like make us one of those accounts where you're like, hey, show us notifications or new posts. Then you'll get it. But your job is to respond to the prompt, and then we will pick some to discuss on the show and maybe make fun of you or agree with you. But it's always in good fun. So let me go ahead and get the questions pulled up. While we have new Star Wars, the question is quite simple. It's, did you like or did you not like the most recent episode of new Star Wars? So this week's question was, what was your favorite or least favorite part from the Bad Batch S2E6, the Wookiee one? All right, so
the Wookiee one.
I feel, sadly, Nick's not here to do this, and this is my favorite part of the show. I don't know why. I love listening to Nick either stumble reading people's horrible English or him fucking up their English that is written okay. I love it. So I'll do my best to fill in for Nick. First one we got from Rippick Tan, who also is a top 5 honoree this week. But Rippick replied, "Great episode. Seeing Gunji. So he doesn't know. It's just with an I, my friend. Call his lightsaber with the Force was an awesome moment. We agree. It made our top moments too. Yep. Also, catching some Wookiee ways of living in the village was just so cool. It's like Rippick almost watched my fucking video like a fan does. Right? Those are 2 of my 3 top moments right there. So, or
maybe you just read Rippick's comment before the show and then just built the whole show off of that.
I cheated. And I went back in time and did my video last Wednesday, flux capacitors and all that fun stuff. All right. So yeah, Rippick Tan, of course, if you agree with us, we're always going to agree with you. It's the other way that things get a little squirrely. All right, here we go. Galaxy_fun_photography had so many goosebump moments. It's hard to pick one. Laughing out loud with tears emoji. All right, well, Galaxy Fun.
That's great.
Had some fun with Tribe. Here's our boy Tones 1138. Decent episode, definite Avatar vibes, and great to see the Wookiees back in action, including Gunji. Nice to see he survived Order 66. ... But yet another standalone episode which didn't advance the whole storyline unless it's going to run like Mando S1 and the Batch come back to ask Gunji for help on a bigger scale. A little bit, Tones. Right. I do, like I said, I made my case today. I laid down my opening arguments that the reason this episode wasn't completely standalone was the fact that it does seem to me that the Batch finally made the choice on their own, not because they had to confront the Empire in the name of righteousness. So that's my spin on that, buddy.
Yeah, then I think it's cool to see some stuff that's contributing to the overall just Star Wars. Now it makes me think about, okay, well, now we know another Jedi that was around during this time, and I think that's really cool to know. And I'm like, what was he doing this whole time? Did he just chill on Kashyyyk, or like? You
bring up a great point, because I'm all about retconning Order 66 and the idea that it eliminated the Jedi. I mean, it's been happening since George's days. But I think they may get themselves in trouble, because you are right. Now that we know Gunji is alive, how do we handle him? Why does he never show up? How does he not run into Cal or Kanan or Luke or Ezra or the Rebel Alliance? Does he just sit idly by as the Empire gets worse and worse and worse? These are things that they may have to answer. So Tones may not be wrong. I don't know if the Bad Batch is going to be the one answering it.
Yeah, and even if they just said like, now Gunji just lives on Kashyyyk and that's all, and that I'd be like, okay, that's fine.
But I think what you're still saying is that you still need to hear at least that. You're not just let's leave it open ended. I am still
definitely wondering it. I definitely am just thinking about
that. It is a valid point. It really is. I mean, the more I think about it, it's the same argument I used on Commander Cody when people are like, what the fuck, he's gone and we're never going to see him. Like, no. Like he's too big of a character to just deal with off screen. I don't know if Gunji is as big as Cody, because let's be real. I mean, Cody was in a lot of episodes in Clone Wars. He was in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, he is a decades long established character.
He's the first named clone that I ever like.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that Rex isn't in the fucking movies. It's Cody. Cody's the only one in the movies that Kenobi talks to with his helmet off. Right. So he is the guy. But just back to Gunji, now that they did, okay, he survived it. I always go to, how could a Jedi just sit idly by and do nothing? It makes no sense. Even Obi-Wan Kenobi tried it, and he himself couldn't do it. He waited 10 years or whatever, feeling sorry for himself and hanging low, but he eventually had to get mixed back in doing good things for the galaxy. Yep. So we'll see. We'll see. It is a valid concern, Tones, after all. I'll give it to you. All right. 2797_studios, the Bat, who is back to work, but I did see him show up here every once in a while. Favorite part of the Wookiee episode has to be going back to Kashyyyk and seeing how the Wookiees were adapting and dealing with the Empire. That and Wrecker howling like a Wookiee.
Yeah.
Agreed. So again, Bat is attuned to the same Force stream that I am. All right, here we got Kai Toy Photography. I think that, KAITOYPHOTOGRAPHY. So Kai Toy Photography. Wookiee is a Jedi. That's my favorite scene. Okay.
Short and sweet, and I agree.
See, that's one, if Nick would have read it, would have got me, because it's not even like a sentence. It's a like a stream of conscious thought. Wookiee is a Jedi. That's my favorite scene. All right.
But I agree with him full-heartedly.
Yes. Wookiee is a Jedi, and his name is Gunji. So thank you to Kai Toy Photography 2797, Tones 1138, Galaxy Fun Photography, and of course, Mr. Rippick-Tan, who's going to get his balls licked one more time this episode before we're done. So that's that. That is the question of the week. Like I said, if you want to get mixed up, make sure you're following us on Instagram and look for the prompt on Tuesdays in the morning before showtime. We usually don't go to poll responses until just before we start, so you do have time if IG shows it to you. That's the deal. I mean, these are all the comments we got, so we lucked out. We just got 5, and that's what we usually like to handle.
Perfect.
So, yeah, it's like, yay. All right, so the next wing of our fan segment, if you're new here, is everyone's favorite, and that is the Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. That's right. We've been doing it for many years. Others have tried. They give up because they realize it's not worth their time, but we keep going because we love you all. Creating that Star Wars art, giving me something to do every morning like I need more stuff to do every morning. But I do it. That's how it goes. The way to get mixed up in the top 5 is whenever you post something Star Wars, if you've created it or you've remixed it, it doesn't have to be just toy photography. Make sure to add tag at Star Wars Time Show. That's the key these days, my friends. Hashtags are not reliable anymore. So if you want to ensure we see it, and by we, I do mean myself and the mouse I keep in my pocket, add tag, not at Star Wars Time Show. Add tag function at Star Wars.
Full tag, yes, the full thing.
Jared knows. He's figured it out. That's why we see his stuff still all the time. So we still want you using the hashtag because it's like a catch-all. But really the best way on Instagram, add tag at Star Wars Time Show. And then every morning when I wake and take care of what I need to take care of, I go through the tags, both the hashtag and our tags, and I will feature those posts that stand out. I had another user last week, Jared, go a little nutty on me. I don't know if you saw, you probably didn't see it because I don't know if you're following this person, but they like launched into a story tirade against myself and Star Wars The Black Series and how, I don't know, we must not feature correctly, or we do it wrong because we only pick shots that we like versus some of the, and I hate to say this, garbage that gets sent to us. I mean, I don't want to make fun of anyone, but you should see some of the shit that people think that people are going to like as a Star Wars picture. I'm sure Jared's seen it. I mean, he's an icon. I'm sure noobs come to him and like, oh, look what I did. And he's a nice guy. He's probably, oh, yeah, it's great. In his head, he's going, man, that looks like fucking shit. You need some work and practice, and you need to watch my videos. So, yes, I do typically feature stuff that looks good, and not just because you put the hashtag on. So let's make that clear. All right.
It's also like really impossible to feature everyone.
Yeah.
It's just it's a lot harder than you realize to be able to do that. And
we're tiny compared to Black Suit. I mean, he's like, what, 100,000 plus. Who knows how many tags he gets a day. But even our little shit show, I mean, there's some days that we're talking 40, 50. No way. I mean, just posting sometimes 5 can take an hour. Because I got to look through them all. I got to copy them using a fucking ripper. I got to post them. I got to put comments in. You know, and I get it. It has benefited the Star Wars time show. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, we feel bad for you. I mean, there's a reason we started doing this shit. I'm not stupid. I knew it would be a good way to loop in an audience and hopefully get them engaged. And that fucking failed because no one gives a shit. But there's really been some angry motherfuckers that just do not like the way we feature. I don't get it. It's like... what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to fucking give you a reach around too? I don't get it. You're not featuring small accounts because they suck. Okay? I wouldn't feature my own work. I think I'd feature my own work once because I don't think it looks as good as the shit I do feature. How's that? But I'm sorry, man. I mean, you know it. I know you're not going to say it because you are an ambassador and you shouldn't say it. But there's some grade A crap that gets posted in the toy photography community. Like shit. Awful stuff. Stuff that my daughter could do with a cell phone. And I'm not ragging on you because I know everyone's got to start from somewhere and mine look like that too. But it seems to be sometimes those are the people, Jared, that are like, hey, fuck you, I'm awesome. Like, look at this shit. Why aren't you featuring me? They're the people you would see on like American Idol, like, oh, my family said I'm great. And they'd start singing. They're like, oh, say, can you see? It's like, people, sometimes a little honesty is good for you all, okay? And my honesty is when I don't feature you, it's usually keep working. You'll get there one day, okay? Take it to heart. There you go. Yeah, oh, I only feature the same people is the complaint. Well, A, the same people usually tag me and others don't, or they don't do ad tag, and B, they're good at what they do.
Yeah, and Instagram really has become a huge obstacle.
Yeah, I mean,
with the way
dude, even when we feature, people hardly even come. I mean, it's all a mess. I hate to say it, but I do not think Instagram is a platform where you're going to make your name these days, okay? Those heydays are gone, where the algo actually worked in your favor and people would look at your shit, all right? Sadly, you got to start doing what the AI wants you to do, and that's make short-form content that looks like shit. People these days want rudimentary produced content. Am I wrong, Jared?
No, you're unfortunately that's just if you are looking to grow on you gotta the reels.
I mean, reels dude, there's sometimes you look at the reels, right? It'll have like 85 watermarks and generic text. The film's all grainy. There's zero production value, and it's got 20 million views. It's like, dude. I mean, I'm not saying my stuff is highly produced, but I put thought into it, graphics, and 90 people. Who cares? Oh, it's 2 minutes long. I don't have the attention span for that anymore. I mean, that's where we're at. The AI knows what the humans are clicking on, and it is short form content that has zero production value and is the 720 by 1980 aspect ratio. So it's just a big tall column. Like, that's what humans do with their lives, and I'm one of them. Are you a scroller? Like, do you get caught sometimes in like a real scroll?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That's what the code is meant to do. Like, we are being controlled by the AI already. Get used to it.
Yep.
Yeah, no, MJ is right. Modern IG rewards non-effort. I mean, some of the biggest Star Wars fan accounts out there, I mean, people might accuse us because we feature other artists' work, but they'll just steal like TikToks and highly produced stuff and just reskin it on theirs and be like, oh yeah, credit this person. At least when I do that, I'm remixing. So it's just, I am adding to the content. Like my dumb face is next to the content and I'm staring at it or making funny faces. So I'm adding a little bit.
Yeah, that's good for everybody.
Yeah, I'm adding a little bit of my own to it. I'm not just stealing someone's work and posting it, but that's look at some of the biggest Star Wars accounts out on IG. That's all they do. They don't produce their own shit. They just steal it. I produce my own shit. I feature accounts, and yet I still get dick kicked. But thanks to the Discord family or the Discord army last week, they took care of the individual that I was just talking about. All right, let's have some fun. Sorry about that shit.
We got some fantastic shots on
here. I don't like getting negative and talking about me too much and behind the scenes. But here we go. So like I said, I feature him throughout the week, and then usually my man Nick, who is sitting in Jared's seat or usually sits in Jared's seat, will pick his top 5 on Monday and release them. But this week, all duties fell on me. I hate doing this, Jared, because I like coming in the top 5, not knowing who Nick picks, and B, since I'm featuring throughout the week, I already am going to have my favorites. Right. So it's not necessarily
I could have picked for you.
Fair.
I could have picked for you. Next time I'll
probably should, but I'm a dick. I'm lazy, and I kind of forgot about it when I put the post out last night. So
next time I'll pick
But you are right. We should have done that. All right. So here we go. Up first, one of my favorite Lego photography accounts on Instagram, and that is at Milo Studs. And what we are looking at here, if you're not on the live stream, it's as I believe Connor said in the top 5 posts on Instagram, this is wall-worthy Lego art. And I highly agree with that description from Press
really
Pause Photography, because what this is, real quick to set it up for those not looking at the boob tube, it's a like a wide shot of Luke and Vader fighting on that walkway in Bespin right before the "I am your father" moment. And I believe the set he is using is the Lego Bespin set. I have it too. It has this walkway. It's fantastic. Or it's just the dual set. I think there's a separate one. But I think what makes it pop, Jared, is that there's a little digi-rama action going on where you actually have that.
Yep.
The background of the, that tunnel they were in on Bespin, or I guess Cloud City. Technically, they were in Cloud City. They weren't in Bespin.
On Bespin.
But yeah, dude, it's just a great shot. You got the competing red and blue lights to accent the lightsabers, and I don't know about you, but I find Lego photography charming as fuck, and it just always works for me.
Yeah, and it's way harder than it looks. It's really hard. Just from my experience, like shooting Lego and minifigures is really hard.
Have you tried it, or have you mostly just stuck?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you do the Sir Dork style, or did you try a little more contained? A
little bit of, as much as I could. I had to do a few Lego stuff for some like Disney work that I had done. Which is really cool, but it's hard, and just the way light reflects off of these little
shiny bits
stuff is way different than off of action figures. It's hard, and it's just so this. Anytime I see Lego photos, I'm always impressed. And
do you still predominantly do outdoor, just natural light setups, or have you started doing any studio stuff?
I do some indoor stuff. Pretty often, but outdoors is always going to be my favorite.
That's your deal, though. I mean, that's where you made your name. That's where you can bring out the blowtorch and
it's
the
fun.
quarter sticks of dynamite and all that.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I asked, you did Lego, because like you got to understand, if you've never seen Jared's work, his shots are. They're loud in a good way. Like there's always something explosive happening. Okay, like they're always coming at you. Like you can feel the action, you can hear the action come out of his shots. So I would have to imagine with Lego, you probably still had to either blow up some dust, maybe some water, or one of your other tricks, or did you just go straight up portrait?
I mean, whatever I had. Not usually when I'll do the stuff for Disney, I don't have that much freedom to blow stuff up.
You don't bring the action
as much as I would like sometimes, but they're usually very specific on what they want. But it's just hard. It's just really hard. I'm not used. when you're going from this big to this big, it really changes
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I mean, there was a time where I was like, I need, because I was in a loop that I think a lot of toy photographers got in, and some of us had broke free of it, but it was like, if I buy a toy, I have to take pictures of it because then that will justify the expense, right? Like, did you ever have that? Like, hey, if I buy that hot toy, shit, it's going to be worth the $350 because I'm going to take pictures of it and people are going to like it.
Yeah, I used to. I don't get that feeling so much anymore.
I've gotten better at that, but haven't fully broken free of it. But I almost went down that path with Lego because I love building Lego, especially Star Wars. My most recent build was the DeLorean. It was awesome. It's a great piece.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. It's such a great build. But I was starting to think like, oh, I bought the Death Star Lego set. I need to start. Look, there's a scene I could shoot. There's a scene. And it's like, fuck, now you're going to ruin this fucking hobby too. Like, it's okay to just buy stuff like you used to and look at it.
It is.
And
it is.
I'm getting better, but it's still, I mean, some of the agita is because all these little 112s sitting next to me,
you gotta do something about
came
that.
from that time of you buy, you shoot. All right. That was the mantra. You buy, you shoot. As soon as
you should just go and donate that whole box somewhere.
I mean,
and
dude,
then it'll be gone. It'll be out of your sight.
Look at this. Look at this. Hold on. I'm only reaching for a few things because I mean, look, this is just there's just 3. I've got like 15, 20 other boxes like this. You want the Kenobi line? I got the whole Kenobi line. You need Axe Woves? I got it. You need some Bad Batch clones, 1/18 scale? I got it.
There you go.
It's like I'm fucking hawking crack over here. You need the latest Mezco 112, the Death Dealer? Got it. Who wants it? Come on, let's have a fucking fire sale. But you know, I mean, that's why I sometimes I come down here and I just like fuck. I start to feel bad about myself because I bought, but I haven't shot. You know what I mean? So it's that pressure. All right, sorry, Milo Studs. Didn't mean to take your thunder there, but.
The one thing I wanted to say about this shot was let's say if Lego decided to make a Lego movie version of The Empire Strikes Back, and just think about how cool and beautiful that would be. This photo is exactly what I would imagine this scene would be like in that. Like, that's how perfect this photo is.
I love Lego photography. I mean, it's like Tong Wars is one of my favorite. Brick Panda 82, I think, is my favorite. Yeah. Like, that guy's a fucking wizard with that shit. He's been on the Last of Us train recently. It seems like Brick Panda, Jared, he'll pick like a franchise and just roll with it for like a month and do nothing but that. So hopefully he'll roll back to Star Wars. But it just, for some reason, the overall toy photography community, though, they don't seem drawn to the Lego stuff, at least when we feature it.
Yeah, there's definitely its own little pocket for sure, and I so much respect and admiration to people who can create stuff like this. This shot's amazing.
I love it. That's a great shot, but it's another one. It's like, man, I wish I shot Legos. It's one of those deals. Like, man, I wish I was doing this. I got them right behind me. Maybe after the show, break out the Canon. You never know. Speaking of Lego and nerds, they just announced today a $500 Lego Lord of the Rings Rivendell set. Whoa. Yeah, that one might be tugging on me a little bit.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I need a project. I finished the DeLorean last weekend, so I'm ready for a build. I tend to like in the winter because I'm in the north like you. I'm in the shitty Midwest. At least you're in New York. But in the winter, I like for some reason building Legos or the weekend. Get a fire going. Throw on the Mando, open up a Lego set, just work through a little bit, maybe have a beer. It's good stuff.
There's something very peaceful about it.
Do you actively build Lego or too much time as you're trying to build your empire?
No, it's more just room for me, and I don't have that ultra passion to build, but I've done a few big ones, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it's almost really fun. Therapeutic. At least to me, it's like I like being able to follow the directions and come out with a product at the end. That does something for me. I don't know, like I'm old or what, but
I just get impressed by the people who create the design for the builds.
That shit blows my mind, man. It's like, who the fuck put together the directions guide? That's more impressive than me building it. It's like,
that's what blows my mind.
I mean, some suite or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, you need one of these, one of those, one of these, one of these. Oh, there's a DeLorean.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like Lego Masters. I don't know if you watch that show, but that's another one. So they're like,
I did.
They're like,
watch
oh
that.
hey, you need to do this, and 12 hours later, they just out of their asses build something. It's like, what the fuck? Like, how do people think that way? Oh well. All right, moving down the line here. We got to get out of here at some point, dude. Next shot.
This shot's incredible.
One of his best. He's been featured many, many times, but this is definitely a personal favorite. And if he ever wants to get rid of the TIE Fighter, I'll gladly take it, even though having Star Wars toys gives me heartburn. And we're talking about a fantastic Mando on a TIE, similar to what you would have saw in S1E8 of The Mandalorian after he goes after Moff Gideon, from @visual_approach_photo. It truly is a masterpiece. The shot itself,
it's incredible.
It's just, but to me, Jared, that is one of the best looking custom TIE fighters I've ever seen. It's
so good.
It looks like Sean rolled down to 1977 ILM.
Wouldn't snagged one.
And fucking jacked one, jumped back in the DeLorean, hit 1.21 gigawatts, and made his way back to 2023.
It really does.
It's just, he
did such a good job.
It's fantastic. Like
it makes me want to do it to mine.
He got the perfect blue hue to it. He captured the action, even though someone left a comment said that he could improve this shot by.
I saw that.
You gotta love motherfuckers. I love people. But it's great. I mean, it's a true 1-to-1 scene recreation of Mando jumping on the TIE. But what Sean did, and really, like I said, the TIE Fighter, like it almost makes me want to go play with myself. He repurposed the First Order TIE Fighter from TFA, like one of the only 1/12 scale vehicles we got from that era. Yep. He repurposed that TIE to make it look like a classic era TIE with that nice blue tint, and it's a thing of art. It is a work of art.
It's amazing.
It really is.
And what also blows me away is the fact that he can use just straight up like printed backdrops.
Yes. Yeah. He doesn't. He doesn't fuck with digis. Hey, buddy.
And they look incredible. Like with this one, it's just like a printed like background that he's just got like stapled on the wall. I
just want to know, like, does the dude own a plotter himself, or does he borrow his works plotter for those? Because we're not talking like he gets an 8x12 white piece of paper out. I mean, they're like sometimes poster fucking size, like paintings. I could be wrong.
I feel like I remember him saying that he would print in multiple pieces and then put them together on like a poster board. I could be wrong, but I think that's what.
I mean, I dig it, and I will like. I like Digi. I've been using Digi recently for some of my portraits that I'm just too lazy to edit and post because listen, it's quick and dirty. And if you pick out the right background and you're able to kind of match, not necessarily, kind of the key light and maybe your backlight to the Digirama you have pulled up on your screen, you can blend it together to where it does look natural.
Definitely.
But I definitely agree, when you print it out, it's not as problematic when you're using a digital screen, because digital screen, like Jared, if you heard him talking about Legos, their skin can reflect. Digital screen, sometimes it'll reflect your light in the wrong places. The backlight could be fucking up the figure's lighting, and you really got to nuance that shit, where I would imagine printing things out, you're not getting as much feedback from your background. So but background schmackground, I mean, the shot's a fucking gem. I mean, it's a wall hanger, just like the
everything about this. The fact that he painted this thing, the photo, the pose on Mando is really great.
Oh, yeah.
It's everything about it is just.
But he could have blurred it a bit to make it look like there was motion.
Put a little smoke in there.
I didn't even understand what they like. How can you look at this and not see motion? I mean, that's exactly what motion blur is. Like, he blurred out the background, kept the foreground in focus. That is it. But oh well, you can't please everybody. There's always a critic. That is @visual_approach_photo. Check him out. Definitely one of the big dogs even more than just the photography. I mean, this dude, no fucking joke, is building ILM quality dioramas as well. Just go see his hanger from a few weeks back. Okay, so that's our boy Visual Approach. Up next, we got a kick-ass custom, a crossover custom, if you will, from @Wentzilla, WENTZILLA. And Jared, the reason this one really stood out to me, and Wentzilla is known to make some psychedelic, trippy, mishmashy figures. That's why I appreciate his account. Like he thinks kind of on a different planet, at least his style, and I dig that. And what we got here is one of my favorite of his mashup customs, crossover customs.
So cool.
It's so rad, dude. It is, I think, self-described Prime Trooper. So it looks like Wentzilla repurposed a stormtrooper's body and painted it in the colors of Optimus Prime. So, like the legs, the cod piece, the stomach, and the upper arm armor are still like that whitish color, maybe a little silver. But then
it looks a little silvery.
The leg armor is blue, like Optimus's legs. And then this trooper has an Optimus Prime style stormtrooper helmet. And it just fucking kicks ass. Even the little scarf on there, right? Like that scarf adds the little touch to it. Well.
And it's so undeniably like, there's never like a time where you're looking at this and like, oh, is that? Oh, no, it's instantly, oh, that's Optimus Prime. Oh, that's a Stormtrooper.
Exactly.
Oh, awesome.
Right.
Like,
you go in like that cycle of Transformers, Star Wars, Transformers, Star Wars, Transformers, Star Wars. It's Transformer Wars. All right. But no, this is awesome. And like I said, this is kind of Wentzilla's thing. Doing really odd and unique customs, but I like that. I like the oddities that this creator comes up with. So
it's super unique. Yeah. It's super. I've never seen.
Yeah, like really far out looks of like old Omega or like Warhammer style Star Wars. It's just crazy. I dig it. Tone saying, did we see his Conan vs. Predator shot? Yep. That was a Visual Approach photo. Another good one.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Amazing.
Good stuff there. Buy a print. Send us the proceeds. Okay, coming up next, like I said, @Rippick __tan was going to get a double dose of ball licking this week because he was in the question of the week. And he happened to make the top 5 with this awesome Kit Bash Leia shot that he has. All right, so let's break this down for those that can't see here. I'll be the first one to admit, Jared, I'm not scared to admit it. I've admitted other creepy things on this show, such as my penchant for women with tendrils on their head and bright green skin or orange skin. I'm into that type of thing sexually. And I have to say, I am now getting kind of hot and bothered looking at this Princess Leia figure that Rippick Tan cooked up, which is a mishmash of her mom. So you got like Padme body. Then you got like some random shit he pulled off another figure to give her a vest and a holster.
That's from. And
then the best part, you got little Lola up there. So we're essentially looking at the 18, 19, 20-year-old version of little Leia that we saw in the Kenobi series.
Yeah. It's almost like a teenage. Yeah. It makes me think of a teenage, but she's a Jedi also.
Right, yeah. So she's got her lightsaber is lit up, and it's just that pose. It's sassy as fuck. It's like she's standing there like, are you ready, boys? Like she's ready to just start fucking chopping up some stormtroopers. But I felt a little uncomfortable with how attractive I found this Kit Bash Leia. I will admit that. Clearly, no. Jared gets laid more than I do because he is not all hot and bothered over an action figure. But I genuinely am attracted to this piece of plastic, and I'm not afraid to admit that.
It's a freaking sweet. It's just a cool idea. It's a cool concept. Like it's a combination of so many cool different avenues.
The head is Yavin Celebration, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely. That's what I was thinking too. But the Jedi aspect and having Lola there, and It's just a cool like.
All right, we're getting some insights here. I am TJ Williams saying it's Aura Singh's vest. So nice. We'll dig that.
Oh yeah,
and the holster may be from that comic book Leia recent release. Where she's in all white and has like the robe.
Yeah,
Bat said Jared's not married yet. That's right. Yeah, Jared's still getting himself. He's not his balls aren't filling up every week. What can I say? Like I said, I am a little creepy and I'm attracted to weird things.
It's
and
part of the charm.
I'm definitely down with Ripik Tan's Leia here. As I said in our feature at Ripik Tan with a saucy Leia shot emoji. Heart symbols for eyes. Wow.
Yeah,
like, hey now. Yeah, I'm a creep.
Ripik's just he'll be extra proud that he was able to do.
And I know he's a loyal listener, so I'm sure he'll hit me in the DMs and comment. All right. Moving on, I think this is our last one, and then we'll be putting this episode to bed. Thanks again to Jared Middleton for filling in for young Nick today, a.k.a. at Sir.Dork on Instagram. And is it just Sir Dork YouTube, or did you have this 730 on your YouTube?
Either one will get you.
Okay, good.
So
yeah, give him a follow if you're not already. Thanks, he is my man, friend of the show, loyal supporter, rock star.
Thanks, man.
Star Wars D&D'er. At this point, we might as well send him a hat and a T-shirt. Okay.
I've got the hat.
That's right.
Still got my hat. I should have worn it today.
He does have a hat. I forgot that. He got, I think, one of the hats that actually fit adults. All the other ones are smalls. They're sitting in a closet somewhere that no one wants to buy.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, back to the top 5 and our last shot. And this is another fun kind of franchise crossover here. And
awesome.
This one comes from @red_dog_5. And it is Indiana Solo, as I call it. So we'll break it down here, but it's essentially if Han Solo channeled Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones alter ego. So we've got The Force Awakens Han Solo in like an ancient Egyptian tomb. There's sand everywhere. There's a treasure chest.
Great lighting, and the tones really feel like
warm light everywhere, and it's really making the treasure kind of pop and shine. But so what really sells this shot, and where you get the crossover into Indiana Jones, is that old man Solo is wearing a fedora. So obviously, if you got a fedora on any figure that looks like Harrison Ford, you just go Indiana Jones. But Red Dog turned things up a bit, and like I said, we have Indiana Solo. So it's Han Solo kind of channeling the spirit of Indiana Jones. And the best part, Jared, is what has he discovered in this ancient Egyptian tomb or whatever planet Indiana Solo may be on? What's in that treasure chest?
He has unraveled a complaining, shiny C-3PO.
That's right. That's great.
Whenever I look at this, I just imagine 3PO's. He's on, and he's just
bitching and moaning. Yeah, like, oh, exactly. Thank you. You finally got me out of my box. I've been in here for 5,552 days.
Yeah, I love that so
but
much.
It's like just think if Indiana Jones stumbled upon, but instead of the idol or the rocks or the Grail, it was a dismantled protocol droid that happened to be pure gold. So it was just a fun franchise mashup, kind of playing off the fact that Harrison played these two iconic characters, and now they have become one through him.
Yeah, and Paul's great with just random stuff like this, and this is one of my favorite shoots. Yeah, I mean, even
like look at the little nuance he added to the sand to make it look like it was lived in, like CPO's leg has kind of brushed aside some sand. Han Solo's boot has rustled the sand a bit, so it's pretty slick. I dig it.
Yeah, it just works so well.
And again, that is at red_dog_5. And Jared, that takes us to the end of E2 Fit. Oh my God. Sorry about that. It takes us to the end of episode 250. Wow. That is one way to signal the show is coming to a close. Jared had to readjust his headphones. I just blew out his eardrum there with that one. Sorry, my dude. But yeah, that's it. Another episode of Star Wars Time Show in the books. Thanks again to Jared Middleton at Sir Dork for filling in for young Nick. If you are
Happy to be here.
a loyal fan of the show, you'll see Jared again soon, sometime this year, once we kick off our Star Wars D&D experiment. And it is truly an experiment because I'm pretty sure the 3 players, myself, Jared, and Trevor, aren't really Dungeons and Dragons players or even know what to do. So we are going to have to rely on young Nick, who, in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, is considered a master.
I'm sure he is.
So it's going to be exciting. He's writing the whole story himself. We're going to see Nick's literary skills. You've heard him.
Cool.
You've heard him before talk about how he used to write stories. He was working on a short story for Star Wars, never panned out. So we'll get to see his author skills here. I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too.
So, in between now and then, just make sure, if you're not already, linked into the Star Wars Time Show to get yourself jacked in. That's right. Head on over to starwarstime.net. That's probably the best place to go to find all links that you need to find. You can find our podcast portals there. You know, we're on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher. Hell, Stitcher and Pandora, they're owned by SiriusXM, so I guess we're technically somehow involved with Sirius too. No excuse.
Wow.
Get on.
Amazing.
Leave a rating and review. That really helps us, honestly. Like, you know, we don't have paywalls. We don't have hands out, Patreon, subscribers. We're here to talk Star Wars and have fun. We just want to know that people are actually entertained. And the reason we know that and how we know that is when people come and show up and leave likes and comments and shares and ratings and reviews, and they tell their friends, and they put stuff in their own stories on their own posts. Jared's great at doing it. There's a new fan. I got to shout him out. He may not be listening. You never know. New fans drop off quick. But I think his name's Mike Mansell. He's been a great Star Wars Time Show cheerleader out there, sharing awesome the content that I want you all to share, like my shorts, the Bad Batch shorts. Do it. It doesn't take any effort. You just have to hit add to story, right? It takes 2 seconds, my friends. Keep pumping out that Star Wars Time Show love. We see it. We love it. And dare I say, we deserve it at times. StarWarsTime.net. That's where you need to go. There's always time for Star Wars Time, as Jared has learned over these, 4 or 5 years we've been doing this. There truly is time for Star Wars Time. And do you have anything you want to leave the fans with? Any big thing coming up you want to plug? Any streams this week, tonight, tomorrow?
I got nothing big to share. I'm just it was fun to actually talk just Star Wars, because I feel like a lot of times whenever I'll do something, I gotta always make sure it's toy related, because
I tried that. I mean, I asked you a few questions about what you get into, but I didn't want to.
But still, I was just happy to just talk Star Wars, and I was just specifically looking forward to that.
That's why I'm here every fucking Tuesday, because as much as I bitch about my Wednesdays and no one likes me and no one follows my content, I do still get some form of satisfaction out of it, or I wouldn't be doing it. So, but
that's true.
But this is it. This is one of the highlights of my week. I mean, obviously my family trumps all you assholes, but I love coming here on a Tuesday, hanging out with like-minded Star Wars fans. And it was great to have Jared fill in for Nick, who should be back next week, running the show there with his little bald head and glasses. We miss him. I can't wait to have him back. All right, Dork, it's been real. Thanks again, buddy. I'll get with you on the nitty-gritty once we start getting into our D&D planning. But
sounds good.
In between now and then, thanks again. You kick ass. Don't forget him at Sir Dork. Go check him out. He's got some great stuff. Some of his best work is when he incorporates himself into the toy photography. Like we got a couple of those. I saw the one today, the Palm Luke. We got Palm Luke. We had Angry Flying Palm Vader. Luke. Check him out. Talented dude. Thanks. Good kid. Good guy. You doing the conference again this summer?
Hopefully. Okay. No, I'm still kind of waiting to hear back on yes or no if it's a go, but I hope so. Yeah, I might take you up on an invite this year if you get it going. Last year I had to pass, and all right, I wouldn't have made it anyway, because it's literally the day I broke my leg was the day you guys had your little shindig. So it wasn't in the cards. Yeah. Wasn't in the cards. That was already that long ago. It's crazy. All right, everyone. I love you sometimes. I hate you a little bit, but I appreciate your time on Tuesdays. And don't forget,
Tell your friends. If you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.